December 11th, EDC meeting. First up on the agenda, now that Bruce has, well, I guess I'll say welcome back, everybody. Thanks for, I know in June I said, oh, we'll be meeting in September. They're like, oh, not until then. So it's been 3 months. It's hard to believe.
Yeah.
But anyway, so first on the agenda, since Bruce left, we had an opening and Robert expressed his interest. So I don't know if you can introduce yourself.
I'm Bob Gallagher. I live in Bolton over on Cider Circle. I've been here for 3 years now.
Mm-hmm.
We've met.
Yes.
He's our neighbor. Actually, Amy and I live between Bob. Or Bob lives between both of us.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I kind of make the same spiel, but pretty much you can make of this as you want. We do so many different things between marketing, vacant space, policy, so you can get involved wherever you want, as much as you want. I don't know if you could tell us just a little bit more about yourself. How do you feel you could help us out?
So I own a business. I'm based out of Westboro. I have a small office here in Bolton under the post office, on the backside of the post office. I've been in residential finance for 20-something years. Got a finance background, so there's a lot of things I can help with in that area.
Yeah, definitely, that would be great. Well, so I usually ask, check out the meeting, and if at the end, if you're still interested, then we just have to have a vote, and we'll put it before the selectmen. I think it's been advertised, so we don't have to wait for anybody else. Anyway, so minutes. I didn't get to minutes, but what I was going to ask is if usually I have to go back and watch the meeting. I don't know if anybody can take minutes for the meeting. I don't really. I see you have a laptop, but it's up to you if you don't want to do it. Or we could rotate. I mean,
Not a good typer.
we could rotate, or I'll just take this and somebody can mentally prepare for next time to do it. I'll go back and do it. So it'd be nice, to just, it doesn't have to be perfect, just high level.
I could try. The last couple times I've done it, everybody's like, corrected them significantly, so it's like,
So,
I think I've been fired.
Yeah.
so if you could do it this time, that would be great, because I usually have to go back and remember what happened. Just very high level, and if we take any votes, just say who put it before the meeting and who seconded it and stuff. But, okay, so I don't have any minutes to approve from the June meeting. So, all right, first topic, the brochure update. So finally, after a year of doing this, we got it printed at Bolton Printing for a pretty good price. Our total budget was, I think we spent, what, $250 for 1,000?
I think so, yeah.
So we were under our $1,000 budget this year, which is good. I've distributed it to most places, Bolton Orchards, Neshoba Winery. This weekend I went to Nietzowitz and Sharpner, been at Bolton Spring Farm. What else did I bring it?
Bean?
I didn't bring it to Bolton Bean, you suggested that.
Oh, do you have any?
Yeah.
I can drop them tomorrow.
I do have some in my car.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
I was even thinking the ATM machine at Bank of America, just walk right in, put a stack right there, because there is a spot where you can put stuff there.
Oh, and then there's an ATM at Orchards too.
Yeah, see.
Yeah, so we can, and the country cupboard, I put them there.
Okay.
I haven't been there to see if they're displaying them or not, but I know that I went by the winery yesterday and they said that they were already all gone, so I'll bring more there. And I know every time I go to Bolton Orchards, I see the pile going down, and it was gone this weekend, so I added more.
That's awesome. Nice.
So
It was our first round, so this was good.
I haven't put them there. That's an option too. I was kind of thinking more finding the out of town people. That's why I was thinking, country cupboard and Bolton Orchards, the farms for people coming in.
Now's the time to do it too.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Because they were out.
Really busy.
Yeah, I know when I went to Nietzsche, she was very excited to have it. She displayed it on the table and
So
Sharp
we
put it by the
printed
register.
1,000,
Yep.
and how many of you handed out? Would you give us
Probably
a
half to 2/3 of them.
So are there plans if we exhaust that limit to
Yeah, we can reprint them. I mean, we have the design.
$250? It's pretty reasonable.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's pretty
Okay.
good.
What's
Yeah.
Bolton Printing?
It's
They're about
Exactly.
1 foot.
right across from Fotini's.
It's a print company right here in town.
Good,
Yeah.
yeah, he's really nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They've been here forever.
Old school, I think in general, he doesn't have a website presence,
Yeah.
so he tends to be a little more old fashioned in his
Definitely
thought
old
process,
school.
and I think that's great that we support
Nice.
a local business
Yeah.
guild, and that's what
Well,
mattered.
I actually asked if I could advertise for him. He's like, no, I'm all set. I'm like, really?
Well, he's going up in our car.
I just did 1,000 brochures. I'm done for
He
the
looked at the
year.
brochure and went,
Yeah,
"No,
I'm okay.
But
We are gonna put him on the
you know,
east side.
John Didacco is a pretty
Yeah.
quiet guy.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm sure it was more out of embarrassment.
Well, that's, he's like, I have all the work I can get, you
Yeah,
know?
he wasn't like, yeah, right.
Yeah.
I mean, but he's a pretty.
No, he didn't say it
reserved guy.
rudely,
Yeah.
he
Yeah,
just said like,
yeah,
Yeah, we got it.
pretty much, you told me about, you know, people told me about him, and, you know.
Yeah,
he-
really
He
good
gets
guy.
all his business through word of mouth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. I know.
I did
But we
notice,
can do anything, I did notice, you're gonna go there too, but go ahead.
I noticed one mistake.
I noticed actually several.
Yeah.
There's
The black,
roads.
the roads, yeah, for some reason the black cut out into white, I don't know what happened. I looked at, a proof, and it wasn't like that, but something happened, so when that's
Well,
printing, I'm
next
sure you
time.
correct it.
Fix that. Yeah.
But, so this is our first version of this, and I imagine in the future, we can fancy it up a bit. But really, we were focused on information and kind of just getting the basic one out of there, and that was hard enough.
It was a lot of work.
Yes,
Eric
a
came
lot
in
of
at
back
the
and
end, I couldn't take it anymore. It was just, you know, you sent over like 2 pages of changes, and in 2 weeks' time, they send you back 3 changes, and then they forget about the rest. And literally, it was like that the whole time.
Well, for those who don't know,
So-
we actually worked with Minuteman.
High
which
school.
did
Oh,
high
is that,
school.
yeah.
So,
But the finished product is great.
so what I thought was a clear description just came out of the computer wrong. You know, or, you know, just he interpreted what I said wrong. So you had to, you had to
It's
be-
software, I think.
Well, no, I think it was the, you know, he just didn't understand exactly until you really, he's a junior, you know.
And then we just started working directly with the person,
Towards the end.
Maria.
Yeah.
Yeah, Maria actually finished it. We couldn't work with him anymore. We had too many changes to get done before the summer.
It was the end of his year.
Yeah.
But I think it came out pretty good.
Oh,
We've been
good,
talking,
great.
we've been talking to, Erica Ewing from Ewing Photography, and she's working on, in her spare time, like a photo project of businesses in town, and so if somehow we can incorporate pictures in the background to make it fancier and stuff. But we'll definitely work on future versions to improve it. So if anybody has any idea of how to improve it, and I'm sure we'll change businesses or stuff in the future. It was at no cost to businesses to get onto it, that was one of our goals, so going to the Minuteman High
Yeah.
School was the reason, because it was free,
Mhm.
and then printing was cheap there, so,
They did a great job. I mean,
Yeah.
when you look
It looks
at
great.
Yeah, it looks great. I'm very happy with it.
yeah. So definitely over the year, if you have any improvements or whatever for our next run, just let me know. But I think it's getting distributed well. All right, so if there's nothing else on that. The website. and
The
all that.
EDC website, both myself, Chris, and Larissa have been working on introducing all of our changes into the EDC website. I'm happy to say most of it is done, but we're still just waiting on Lisa to get that final stuff that I sent over to her about 2 weeks ago to
You sent
update.
Erica's stuff?
No, I didn't do that yet. I'm still waiting for Lisa just to do this piece.
Yeah.
And then once that's done, I'll send over Erica's, then we can discuss the next effort that we want done in terms of marketing some of the businesses on it. But it looks good so far, but we're not done. We're just waiting for Lisa to make the updates.
So, is she still on board with making all these changes and then releasing it? Or
She is, I just think she's busy, and I didn't check it today before I came here, but I
Yeah.
followed up with her last weekend, and she said she was gonna get to it soon,
Yeah.
but then I checked and it wasn't done yet.
Yeah,
You know, she's doing this on her spare time, and, you know,
Yeah.
and she has kids, and
Yeah,
she has a
right.
job,
yeah.
and, you know, maybe she had vacations coming up, so I don't wanna micromanage her because she's doing us a favor.
Right.
Right.
So the plan is for us to eventually take it over. kind of
Completely,
thing, Yeah.
yep.
Um,
And then Clarissa, Chris, myself, and you probably included, will probably figure out who wants to kind of own that moving forward.
Right. So actually, everybody here should probably review it. Our website is destinationboltonma.com, but then you do a /new, and that'll get you to the new website. The destinationboltonma.com is the old one. It's a lot of outdated stuff.
It's more updated now than what it was before.
Yeah.
That's a good sign. But
So I've
there
got-
is some stuff that needs to be updated a lot more.
Like I've gotten emails from like the Quilted Crow saying, why are we not on your website? It's like 4-year-old information pretty much.
Right,
now.
right.
But if you go /new, you'll see the new website, and so if you have, just email Rick or Larissa or Chris, you know, comments.
So one thing I did want to bring up though, and I think the website is great, but one thing I don't think we do a good job of is we do more local, it really has a local business feel to it. It doesn't have like a corporate. And you, Chris, you had brought up the fact that we have all these technology companies here in town, but they're not represented. And we need to somehow introduce that kind of flavor, if you will, into that site with it still looking right, in terms of a flow.
Well, right, because
Right now, it has a
the
beautiful
images.
flow.
it's very farmy.
Yeah,
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
it's farming, but it's flashy, it's nice, but it doesn't have that corporate zest to it. And I think we need to somehow introduce that kind of element into it, but yet it
Right.
still needs to be cohesive across.
Because we have the office park, which now
Yeah.
is getting more full.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
has Headwall Photonics Company, and what's the new one? I have the name. There's another one that
She's
just
got the pictures,
Endosim.
the images.
And there's some comparisons.
She does, but we
Paragraph.
haven't done it, we don't know where to put those. I think that's the problem.
Okay.
And I don't know.
Well,
We need to
I
figure
wanted
out-
to meet with her to talk.
Yeah,
about
to
this.
talk-
But I see, you've got the Nicewitz farm, you got a bale of hay, and you got a farm truck, and you got another farm, and you got a.
And literally, and that's really what
So I
flows
want to
in.
intersperse
Like
like the
the
tech image of.
Yeah,
the
like we can
printed
do
circuit
one
board
picture of the office park and then this.
With the vital sign.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and then Bolton Capital Group.
Correct.
Kind of so you're not seeing.
Yeah,
just
yeah,
farm,
yeah.
farm,
So,
farm.
so what's the goal though? Is it, who's the, is the audience just anybody who's looking to
It's more
Great
this
question.
explore Bolton?
It's
I just
more,
wanna understand, I mean, I agree with you, but
I mean, the whole
You don't
goal of
wanna
the
make
site
it
was really
confusing
around
either.
businesses, right? And-
Sure.
And I think we took a very big approach of giving it a very local flavor, but we didn't really do a good job really giving it a more corporate. And that's, the focus really needs to shift more towards that so we can drive people to that site. But we have other things that Erg and I talked about from a strategy standpoint that we want to start incorporating into the EDC process with other local available land in town and also businesses that want to actually sell their property and stuff.
okay,
If
so
you
we're trying
happen
to
to be a
invite.
business
Sure.
looking for a new town to move to, and you happen to
Yeah, there
come
you
to
go.
destination Bolton, and you're a farm,
And
you
you
want to
wanna-
feel right at home.
Sure, sure,
But
sure.
if you're a doctor, or if you've got a tech company, you want
You
to
don't
start a
know. It
lab.
doesn't feel like that at all.
Got it.
Yeah, so it's to
makes
advertise
sense.
Bolton to businesses outside of town. pretty
Sure.
much.
Yeah.
And as part of that, we're gonna have a monthly,
You brought this up like about 3 meetings ago, and I remember, note to self that we just need to get more focused on strategizing on how to get this available property that we have available in town used commercially. And we need to partner with these people who own these properties currently to market it with them. And if it's vacant, if it's available lot, if it's available land that's just raw, well, we need to partner with them on figuring out what will the town approve to go there. So when someone comes into town to actually look for something to develop, this is what it's zoned for. They know immediately if it's a yes or a no for them. And that's what we're not doing with these other people who want to sell their properties in town, I think. I don't think we're doing a good enough job with it.
so the other thing is the monthly business of the month, the Bolton business of the month. And I talked to Dr. Cavanis at Integrated as being the first one that we do as first business. He was pretty excited about it, so. And the plan is to kind of mix it up, so integrative, maybe next month, Broomfield, which is a tech company, the next month, and then maybe a farm, real estate agent, Bolton family practice, kind of mix up the tech and the farms and the
But you
sort
know,
of.
there are businesses in town, Broomfield, for instance. I've lived here for a really long time. I have no clue what they do.
And they do some very interesting stuff, and what they do touches every one of our lives, and you've got components in your homes that use the products their equipment builds. It's
So-
basically coil winders, and it's an electronic component that's used.
Yeah, so as I've told you, we've been doing those stories on Facebook, but it'll be good to get them on the website
Yeah.
and point to them. So actually on Facebook,
Can you get them in the Bolton paper?
well, they're kind of
Just a
sketchy.
profile?
They're kind of sketchy about that because they don't want to advertise for a company for free.
For free.
You know what I mean? But
It's like a spotlight on a company?
No, they do company spotlights,
well,
absolutely.
the Clinton item does spotlights, and when
But
businesses
the
ask me
Bolton
about.
paper's done like restaurants
Yeah.
and things.
Well, I've actually, I wrote the one for Foutinis, and
Oh,
I wrote
okay.
some of them.
Okay,
But they have to, they're kind of iffy about it,
okay.
like free advertising. I don't know, but they have done it, and we could try. I always send her stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I know the
At
Clinton
least
item.
they might be able to pick up, publishing the URL, the
Right.
website, Bolton website has.
Yeah, no, they'll do
company, go
that.
see
They
it.
would do that for
Yeah.
sure. But, so I've been doing stories like that on Facebook, and like I say every meeting, I welcome people to, and you've written some, you wrote, you wrote more of the policy article about I forget. But anyway,
Don't want to meet with the website.
but I would like, because when I do long stories,
I want to get that done.
when I do long stories on Facebook, what happens is it does the whole read more thing, and maybe people click on it, maybe they don't. But it would be good to put them on the website, so I could just link to that. And not only do you get the story, but then you send people to the website. So it'd be good to integrate it like that, to put those.
What's another way that we can drive traffic to the EDC business site? I mean, is there anything that we can do to like maybe advertise like on a weekly basis in these small little local newspapers? Or, you
The
know,
website or the Facebook, the social?
our actual EDC business website, not Facebook. I mean, I know it costs money to advertise every
Yeah,
week, but
it
maybe we
costs
have like a
money.
little blurb, you know, Bolton is looking for X, Y, and Z type of businesses, please go to this website address, and all of a sudden our website comes
Yeah, I
up.
mean, sometimes she charges us, sometimes she doesn't. You know, they charged us for the wreath once, right?
They did that first time,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's not as easy as it
I can
sounds.
talk to her about
Yeah,
it, especially if it's just
Yeah.
a, you know, a link, and
Yeah.
how much space.
but just a
is that?
link, right?
Yeah,
That would-
something that they could put on their back page and maybe print or something.
Mhm.
Right.
And like even when we wanted to put, say, a thank you for the wreaths, she'll let us do it as kind of like as a letter to the editor versus kind of like an ad. So she'll do it like that. I think she's just like they're trying to like draw the line of giving stuff away for free. I mean, they're trying to run a business as well, so.
So Eric, just back to Bolton Business of the Month, this is the first time I've heard about that, so what will that include? Is it just advertising it on the web page, or?
Well, I think what we were envisioning is kind of like, you know, like what I've done with other stories is, you know, a spotlight on it. What does the
Yeah.
business do? How do you fit into Bolton? Why did you move to Bolton? I think I've been focusing more on new businesses, but I think what Chris was thinking more like
Okay,
established building
Legacy,
business- Yeah,
legacy businesses, yeah, it's
Yeah.
important.
so there'll be a story on Facebook, like you've been doing?
Or it would probably start on the website, but I think it
Our
probably
EDC website.
I think it flows.
Facebook.
I think it flows even better to link the story on the website from Facebook because you drive traffic to the website, and it is kind of weird because I usually put a picture with the story, but you have like 2 lines of it, and then it's like read more, and I'm not sure that how it, you know, if people always click into it as much, but
There's a news and events tab on the website right now. There's nothing in there,
Okay.
but the blog will be there. We'll probably figure out how to also have anything that's new on Facebook, a link there so people can go look at
No,
that.
there's something on there, what is it? It's like 3 years old.
There's a new business that was
it
like 6
hasn't,
years
yeah,
ago.
but yeah,
it hasn't been touched in years.
No, but it's gonna be touched.
Are we looking at,
Oh, go ahead.
oh, sorry,
No,
are
that's
we
okay.
looking at like having on the new one, like an RSS feed or something for the local news, like something to like auto update it because,
Well, we have the Facebook
keeps you from
page.
getting stale.
I think that kind of takes that, but they definitely should correlate. So if I put a post on Facebook, it should go on the website. and
yeah,
vice
so you
versa.
should have the Facebook feed
Yeah.
in there, maybe a
Yeah.
news feed or something,
Yeah,
because
right.
I know that our site auto
Yeah.
updates. If I do
Yeah, we were gonna
Facebook,
talk
it
to
goes
Lisa about
there,
that too, about
or vice versa.
functionality, to see if they would integrate.
Yeah, so
We just hadn't had an opportunity to do that yet, because we're still waiting for the change.
if the Facebook could feed kind of, I would say
can.
residents into the website, and the website could feed businesses into, you know, just integrate it all.
Yep.
We don't need to have like this competing, this is on the website and that's on Facebook, you know?
Yeah, I would definitely do that, because that's exactly how
Yeah.
ours is done.
Yeah.
And if we put something on our website, it goes to our Facebook. If we do
Right.
it the other way, it goes.
Yeah,
to-
they'll both ping off each other and drive each other up.
And it keeps both of them fresh, actually.
Right.
It keeps
Yeah.
both of them driving traffic.
Exactly.
So,
That's exactly right, yeah.
It's really important to do that. And you should actually have it, if you have a Twitter handle, we feed ours into our Twitter handle too.
Yeah, we talked about Twitter, but I don't know that, you know,
So,
it makes really sense for us.
It's one more thing we need to worry about.
Yeah.
Let's just try and
It's
get,
down the road.
if it's even around in 2 years.
Yeah.
So I would think that the 2 goals would be, in my opinion, the first goal would be to formalize the introduction of businesses to business, right? We just heard the comment, Broomfield Labs, I don't know what they do, maybe that's not. But I think the challenge that Bolton has, for example, is that people don't feel there's enough to do here. There's not enough restaurants, things of that nature. So it may be to introduce what we do have. I think one of the reasons why people come is because of its geographic proximity, right? 495, close to the Mass Turnpike, close to Route 2. So that's more of a broader theme.
Yeah.
But that can also work against us, because I know that Paragon has suggested that the traffic on 117
It's an
is
issue.
their biggest challenge.
Yeah.
And so we want to kind of look at 2 separate audiences here, I would imagine, right?
Yeah.
Within the
Right.
confines of Bolton, and if I work here, what do I do during the day?
Yeah, so there is a tab, pretty much a business listing tab you know.
But really making introductions to
Yeah.
what they do.
So
I mean, Bolton Printing is a perfect example. A lot of people haven't heard
Right.
about it because
Exactly.
that's John's personality.
Yeah.
But there may be opportunity for him by just kind of bringing that to people's attention. And then he can decide whether or not it's appropriate.
So I know I bring this up every meeting.
But is that through sorry, was that through like a spotlight type thing?
I think it is. I think that's
Well,
kind
that's
of
what
what
we
our
try to
mission
do
is.
here,
is
yeah.
to-
Well, so
That's what you guys-
I do bring this up every meeting, and people who've been here for a while hear me say it every time. If there's ever a story you want to write, I know I put out suggestions.
Amy,
I've kind of, like Amy helped out with a couple. I've kind of had my time filled with just, like I just did the one on the antique store, so I've just been focusing on new businesses coming in. And I did just email the CTO from Headwall, so that'll be my next one. But going back to Animal Adventures and Broomfield and Paragon and all the companies in the office park, you know,
and we are going to be
spotlighting these.
And we are going to be hot spotlighting.
So
That's the whole
like
thing
you
that
said,
Chris is going to be doing with their.
so if you are a business looking into Bolton, you could see, oh, there are other businesses and they're being focused on, pay
To
attention to.
spotlight someone
There
doesn't
there
have
are
to be
250.
multiple
was it?
paragraphs. It can be just a
250
couple of quick
businesses?
sentences of what they do.
Okay.
So it's 250 businesses, that's 250 months. So.
Well, no. I mean, for example, I have my own business here in town, but I'm all set. I don't need any branding.
Right, so what I'm thinking is, as we start to do this, maybe in month 3, month 4, we say, hey, we're here from our business, maybe it's your Bolton Printing. It says, hey, how come I'm not on there? Can I get on there? So then instead of me just picking willy-nilly, we start having a backlog of people who want to.
Sure.
Right.
So, and the people who want to do it are the people who need it, right?
Right.
So
It'd be
that'll
worth
sort
our
of work
spending a
itself.
little while thinking about what's our goal in attracting businesses, right? So there's I have my own business here. I don't need any advertising because I'm a consultant I work out of my home. That's a type, right? And then, the types that would go to these locations, that's a completely different deal, right? So this is, a place where you'd have 300 employees and,
Right.
right?
And those
So-
are on our EDC
So
website.
what's our goal, right? Is our goal, we
Get
have
those
these bits of
leads.
land
Yeah.
that have existing buildings and we want to fill them, and anything else that happens is nice? Or is our goal, hey, we want more of the work from home, the one-man printing shop, or,
Well, I think the
We-
work
we
home
talked
is just I think that's an autonomous thing that just happens with someone in general.
I
Not-
agree, and I think it'd
But
be worth
that's
our
not our
kind of
focus,
putting it
though.
on
Our
paper.
focus is
What's our
this.
goal? Our goal is to fill that.
Yes, that's our goal.
So if our goal is to fill that,
I would say
what's the message we need to
That's not
send?
just
I would say
our
it's
goals.
both. I would say it's both.
Well, then let's let's get to that.
We did
right?
talk
What's
about
the
it.
goal, and how then do we send a message that says that achieves that goal?
So we talked
And
about
maybe
it.
it's both.
We have like the business listing, which we were gonna talk about commercial, but then also we were gonna talk about a whole in-home kind of section, But just to get this released, we were focusing on the big items first.
Yeah,
And then-
and we totally,
Yeah.
we didn't do anything with the small businesses
Yeah.
here in town, like the.
But that is the plan. That is the plan, definitely, is to have an in-home business section. For people who some of them wouldn't want to be involved, but
I think isn't the real goal to have an alternative to not only existing vacant business land, but an alternative to other pieces of land than a subdivision of 40 homes and 180 kids going to show.
yeah, it's all of that.
Plenty is, we're trying to diversify the town a little bit.
So
It just feels like if we started with, so just draw a picture of, here's the kind of stuff we want to create, and how much of that do we want to create?
We-
Then what's the message that we push out? Because it feels a little bit like we get lost in the, filling the cobblem space, and then what about the one person working from home? And, let's try to.
So, since we're talking about the website, like what you're saying, we need to make sure that the website, the way it flows, addresses that. Make sure that it addresses filling vacant space, but also,
And it does.
These other things.
Everything that's commercially available today is on the website now.
but we have to
Exactly.
have, you have to have the feel of that's what it's doing. So that's why I think everybody should review it, and just a few people have been looking at it. But so if you think it should flow differently,
And we just tackled this summer to finally get a site launched.
yeah.
And that was
It's
an
been
effort
sitting for
itself.
years.
Understood.
And we just want to get there, then we can start building more.
But what you're saying is exactly right.
We actually talked about it at the beginning of this process, actually going all the way back to our mission statement
Right.
and saying, is this what we're all about? And if this is what we're all about, how do we use this tool to distribute that, sort of that culture or that
Message.
who we are kind of thing. And then we kind of got caught up in, well, we've got this website that's really counterproductive and in fact was actually,
Not updated, not current, not doing anything.
no,
with the town.
there was malware on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
Yeah,
It then became, let's get this off here and get something in its place, right?
But I
So
think though,
you're right, we need to go back and really understand.
But I agree with you, because I think that the challenge is, if you don't have a clear-cut goal, this community isn't for everybody, right? For obvious
Exactly,
reasons.
yep.
There are inherent challenges. We have private, we don't have public water, we don't have public sewer, so from a manufacturing standpoint, that's a challenge. Obviously, the planning board has some adjudication on what can come in and not come in, so I agree with you. So we need to figure out, okay, where are our strengths?
Yeah.
What are the things that we do well? What are the types of businesses that seem to do well here? And then focus that in that direction as opposed to kind of broadcast broadly and say,
Right.
you know, why don't you give us a shot? And then you end up saying, well, yeah, well, we can't really do that. Oh, yeah.
Right.
One of the things on my project list that I haven't shared with Eric yet is to come up with some sort of a metric that a business or we are able to say, okay, this is what this business is about, this is what they do, this is the kind of talent they need to make it run, this is, you know, do they need a lot of trucks, you know, do they need a lot of space, do they need a lot of water, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Find a way to kind of objectively say, this is a really good fit for Bolton,
Sure.
we're a really good fit for them. And then take that and instead of broadly, as you say, which is our first step, is to go first correct everything, then go broadly, and then focus on the type of business.
Yeah, I like that thought a lot. It's about creating an archetype of, and maybe there's 4 or 5 that we come up with, you know, so, you know, your business, you have, you know, an office environment, X number of employees, you know, another business, you know, one of these is, you know, X times 10 or 20, you know, the antiques is very, you know, tourist driven, and, you know, so what could we come up with? Yeah, there's 3 or 4 different things, and there's a very different message to attract, you know, to get another antique store versus to get, you know, another professional services kind of office.
I think we probably all have some gut feel for what, you know, if we heard of a business coming to town, I think we all have a pretty good gut feel, well, that's gonna fit, or that's
Well,
not.
they're gonna say no.
Right, so we just need to define that a little bit better and then craft our message on the website.
So on that note, so how do we define it? Is it based on, you know, filling the current open space, that equals success? Or is there some picture of success that's already defined, that goes beyond
No, I
that?
think we need that, it's not, in my mind, it's not defined, I think, but.
We're trying to figure it out.
We need to
I mean,
define
we have all these people always come to town proposing things and they're always shot down. Well, obviously, we're doing something wrong here. We're not partnering well with the businesses that currently have the space available to get them approved.
Who are they
That's what we're
proposing them to? Like, who do they come to when they want to put?
And they need to work with us. We need to work with the town and planning to actually figure out what that is, so we can drive the message. Because we don't have one.
I mean, if the use is set, then it's just,
Yeah, but it really
Yeah.
boils down to zoning and what we
It's
allow,
exactly what it is.
don't allow.
Everything
I mean,
falls apart
I think
at
we're trying to make it a little more
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. I
complicated
mean, we're not gonna do the basic 101 first. All the other stuff doesn't matter. The basic is figuring out what we can get improved and built in town.
We did kind of craft a little bit of a message, and it's on the new website now, in that if you look at the makeup of this, and I went and spied on everybody's LinkedIn page, and I got all your backgrounds, and I kind of put that into.
Creepy.
This is the EDC, we've got people in retail, we've got people in real estate, we've got people in medicine, we've got people in technology, we've got people in software, we've got people in telecom. Those are actually, in my mind, a lot of the businesses we want to bring into town, right? So it's good for these companies who just happen to land on our website. We've got to figure out, that's another thing in the strategies, we need to figure out how to make it more than just happen to land on our website. That, you know, if they see these quote-unquote knowledgeable people on the EDC and they fit that, they're going to be more likely to follow up on it and call and try to get some more information.
So we have 2 things. We want to make people who live here aware of the businesses that are here,
Yeah.
but we also want to make our assets known to people who might be looking.
Yeah.
So Google.
Google AdWords
you know,
is, you know, I've worked with
Search
that
engine
extensively.
optimization. You put on the website what's going to get you the most hits for people who are already looking, because you're not going to sell a horse to somebody who already has a horse. You need to find the people who want to buy a horse.
Right,
And the way to do that, because everybody looks online,
is Google AdWords.
yeah,
And it's expensive.
you don't have to spend money.
Well, if you're
You have to
competing,
put
if you're
this
competing
stuff,
for
you have to put the
keywords.
words on your website that are gonna get you high in the search.
She's correct about that.
It's fundamental
Yeah, the
keywords.
organic-
The right words,
Yeah.
yeah, having the right organic words, because that's how most of our business has been coming into us from local businesses. We just have the right words on our site,
And the
and
right
that's how people are finding us
content of
completely.
this is what we have.
So,
If this is what you're looking for, then you should come see whoever it is who's offering what we have.
It's SEO,
Not us, 'cause
all
we're not
SEO
offering it, we just want to show it to you.
One of the other ways to do that, if you're not gonna spend on AdWords, to bring you up to the first page, which I think you're probably gonna need to do with some of the keywords that are gonna be pretty generic. But if you don't do that, another way to drive those keywords is with the blog, which is one of the reasons I want to do it.
Well,
So
because
you
the
pepper
more
every blog,
often you put those words in, the more often that stuff
Right,
is
in
there, the
the
higher
blog,
you
if you
get.
have pictures, higher, the video, even higher.
Yep,
And that's the way to do it for no money, but,
but one of the things
Alright.
that,
So I want to wrap up the
Need
EDC
is-
website, sorry.
a webmaster.
So we are just looking for updates with Lisa still, then we'll incorporate
Yeah.
Erica's, and then we'll start strategizing about,
So maybe by next meeting, so
it
basically,
should be done by.
I just want to get it, we just want to get it to a basic level where we can
Launch
get
it.
rid of the old one and launch the new
Yeah.
one, and then all of this will come out. We don't have to
Right.
have, you know,
so along those lines, maybe we as a committee ought to advertise for somebody to volunteer their SMO skills to help us with this, their SEO and SMO skills.
which is,
Search engine
Marketing.
optimization,
Okay.
social media optimization, basically what you do with Facebook.
Yeah,
People
but
who do that for a
something to do with
living, but
Google.
if they live here,
Yeah, I mean,
they'd be interested in maybe.
And, I don't know if the thing's even working, but you don't have to be on the committee to come in for one meeting to,
Right.
Yeah.
Or you want
Share your
to
experience.
to volunteer, right?
yeah, right. So we're gonna say, so next meeting, hopefully,
It'll be
the
done.
basic changes will be in.
Yeah.
We can maybe
It should
have
be.
a review, a final review and launch it, and
Yeah.
then we'll continue with this. All right, so next though, welcome sign update. And actually, at the end of this agenda, I have a lot of these kind of bigger picture things, so we'll go back to it, but I just wanted to get like the little daily stuff out of the way. So the welcome sign update, maintenance fee and management discussion. So, just for everybody's knowledge, when we first did the welcome sign, which is,
Bob, you know where the welcome sign is, right?
it's currently grown over with weeds right now. But, actually, so we have the lighting in there now. When I came by, it was not bright enough, but, so that was in there, and actually, Colleen ended up paying for you, she ended up volunteering to pay for it, so that was
Very
good.
generous.
But moving forward, yes, it was very generous, but moving forward, we have, what we agreed upon when we first did it is a maintenance fee. So everybody who's on there has to pay a $50 maintenance fee. So I think you all have a letter here. Do we have to vote to approve this or not really?
Well, I didn't know if the board had any
I mean,
edits.
I read it, it sounded good to me. I mean, so this is tailored towards Patterson.
I just picked one of the
Bolton, yeah.
businesses and, yeah.
So pretty much we're just asking for a $50 yearly fee for landscaping, painting, making sure the sign doesn't fall down, changing the lighting if that fails, that sort of stuff. And we have a waiting list to get on the sign, so if somebody doesn't want to pay the maintenance fee, then we can just go to the next one.
Was this brought up at all in the beginning of the process?
Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
clearly brought up,
Yeah.
people knew in advance.
Yeah, people knew, and actually, we're kind of late to the trigger in charging the maintenance fee, because we were late in getting the sign up as well.
We had toyed with last year, actually sometime, I think this past spring, about maybe adding more people to it, but it was voted down.
So there's that one open spot, so the one open spot is on the farm section,
It
okay?
is.
So,
I didn't know there was a farm section. I just
Well, it's the
okay,
left side of the
businesses, okay.
but see, already, there's already so many on there, and people, you know when to add another row, but it's like, if you add another row, it just gets really busy.
Right.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
you're
it's
just
already
driving,
pretty busy.
Huh?
they're just driving, it's like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so much, so much you can read. Well, they're
I know,
sitting in
right?
there.
So a few years ago, there was a whole wayfinding,
What fine?
there was a grant for that?
There was a grant to put together a
Yeah.
wayfinding plan, I guess.
So there was gonna be, the entrance to town was gonna have this sign that would say, go this way, and then when you get to, say, Aquatic Road, it'd be like, Fortini's, Neshoba Winery this way, and there was like a color-coded thing,
It
and
was pretty elaborate.
it was this
considering
whole
it's
elaborate
small
wayfinding
town.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was completely over the top.
Yeah.
It was a
Yeah.
huge sum of money too.
Yeah.
wasn't it?
It was, when we actually went to find out how much it would cost to construct it, was like hundreds of thousands
Yeah,
of
right.
dollars.
I think $240,000.
Yeah.
It was just
Unbelievable.
I'll do it like they do at the Cape, they just like put up
It's only
signs and
$12
nice
per
white
tax.
signs.
I volunteered at the highway, walk, drive people, hey, just follow me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, so we opted for what we have. I forget what it ended up costing. Was it like $5,000 for that sign?
No, it ended up being, we got two, and I think it was closer to like, I can get you
It was
the
paid by the
exact number, but I think it was
businesses, not
closer to 10.
It was paid by AgCom's budget.
And
for
that
the
didn't
farms.
include getting it installed, like we had volunteers that really
Yeah.
helped with
Yeah.
a lot of
Yeah.
that, so.
And even reinforcing it.
Pricey.
So
Yeah.
who's gonna do the maintenance of it?
So I mean,
Question.
that's a good question. And I know that you,
We're just gonna collect the money, right?
Right now,
Who has the biggest container of Roundup?
Right, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
so I mean, once we have this money, we can, pay for somebody to go out there once or twice a year.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Just hire somebody. to
Just
do it.
hire somebody to go out there.
The money's
Well, who's gonna take, oh, actually, no, I think, who's taking care of the actual town common? Who?
The town.
The town?
Yeah.
Okay,
This
why
is a
can't we
little-
just go over and trim that back? I mean,
Well, it is
It's
private property.
Oh, okay.
so DPW's not allowed to go on private
Okay.
property and maintain it,
Yeah.
so that's what makes it confusing, or
Okay,
kind of challenging.
But so we do have to straighten, so this is we're gonna send this out, or has it? we
It
just have
hasn't been, I wanted to
Yeah.
have you guys approve it.
I think it's fine, I mean, it sounds fine to me. So you could just go, so I'll sign a bunch for you tonight. if you
Yeah,
want.
so, well, actually, I need to, I think that they should be personalized, so I want to make sure that I'm addressing each
Oh, okay.
business that's on the
If
sign,
you have
and
it for
then
Wednesday then.
I'll get it to you at some point. and
Yeah.
sign it. Yeah.
So that would be great, so that will come in and then we could start, because it looks pretty bad right now with all the weeds. on
I
the side of the wall.
didn't really notice it. I mean, I just look up, I don't look down, so I see all the names, so I see everything, and then I see like a solar thing on top, so.
Yeah,
You have to be so careful at that point when you're driving too.
yeah, it is kind of a dangerous intersection.
Yeah.
It's best when you're
It's pretty
coming off,
busy.
when you're coming off the ramp and you're looking right at
That,
it.
that's right, it's right, come off, yeah, so like, yeah.
It's nice to have so,
How many businesses are on there?
well, there's like 5 farms and 6 businesses.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, there's 7 businesses.
And we're charging only $50. Is that sufficient?
And that's what we said.
For maintenance, I mean, how often are we gonna need to?
Yeah, but there's gonna be depreciation of the sign. eventually. The
Yeah, and
sign's
it's gonna have to be replaced.
I mean, are we charging
That's-
farms or no?
We are,
Oh,
yes,
so
and
we're
then
charging
there's
farms too.
1, 2, 3,
I mean, I
4,
don't
there's
think it's
5
a hardship
farms.
to go to 100. I mean, that's not a huge sum of money.
I think we said 50 though, right?
We said 50, so I think at least for the first year.
Yeah, maybe next year.
Kinda,
How about we do 50 and then we vote for a regular
Yeah.
increase every year that we go up by 5%.
Well, let's see what kind of budget,
here.
let's see what it takes a year, see what we're spending.
Well, the only reason I say that is because I think the property around there, the wall and all that, I mean, we could actually kind of out of good faith
Let's
make
keep it-
sure that that looks reasonably
Well,
decent.
Yeah,
So we're
definitely.
gonna need some money to do that.
Yeah, for sure. What's the action?
Are there any landscapers on the sign?
No.
Yeah, there's not.
I mean, we may be able to find a volunteer to maintain it this year.
I've had random people email me saying, if you ever work on it, I could pick, low maintenance plants, and so there's definitely people willing to even volunteer outside. But, so I took that name and,
But what's the
gardening
the
club
Main
might
Street
wanna-
85 entrance? You know that is over right by
Yeah, there's
That's a great
people
that
idea.
hideous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
If someone
is a
gardening
that someone
club,
maintains it. They don't do a
comment.
very good job. It looks really bad.
Who they were.
85 and Main Street. I'm like, what is that? It looks like really bad.
so this will be, what, so you said 7?
I think someone does maintain it, but
So this will be $500 or $600 a year that we can work with.
Go for it.
If that's not enough, then
I need a budget.
Yeah.
Gardening club.
I'll find out.
Open the wall.
We used to have like a garden club. Yeah.
Okay.
They're
I don't know if
legit.
they
Well,
still have
I
it.
mean,
Nice job down there.
if we could just like get it cleaned up to the basic and then, just put a word out on Facebook and say, hey, if anybody wants to work on this, we can give you some funds to buy plants or whatever, just,
I think isn't there a landscaper idea, right? So just a quick Google, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 landscaping companies in Bolton.
I think, yeah,
Hey,
shoot.
would any of you like to
Yeah.
take care of this and put a
You
little
wanna take
sign
that up
that
as an
says
action item?
maintained
Maybe
by-
we can-
you can
Actually,
Great idea.
define what we want them to do and say, if you do this, Your name goes on the sign.
No,
No.
too bad.
You get-
What did they have, like a little thing?
So there's a waiting list.
Maintained by, maintained.
Maintained by.
Maintained by,
That's how you
that's
do it.
actually do it, yeah.
Yeah, you do the maintain by, nice green sign
That's
in
actually a
there,
really good
man.
idea, yeah.
Just like they do at every one
Oh,
of the
just like a little
corners.
sign in the
Mark's
back.
landscaping.
At every one of the corners. that's how
R&B
they do it.
actually, R&B, they turn to our whole
So,
development.
the one of the main reasons why we did put this is, if you're, people who lived here for a while, what used to be there is these like three or four like poles kind of slanted with all these signs that were half hanging off, and it looked awful. So it was to try to clean up the whole thing, which I think we sort of did, but now we just have to.
It looks good overall.
Yeah. What was there was all these weird colored signs and these poles that were slanted and rusty. It looked awful coming into town, so that was kind of the goal, was to just give it a better look.
Still
No.
liked it.
Huh?
Still liked it. They reached out to me. They wanted to know the process on how we got that sign up.
Oh, really?
So.
Oh, that's cool.
That's cool.
And it is just nice, I mean, like going to the Cape when you roll into a town, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
welcome to Wellfleet
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
just, even if you don't even see the names of the businesses,
I will say
just
that
to
the
have a
Cape,
welcome to Bolton is nice.
the Cape and New Hampshire do a very nice job
Yeah.
of standardizing their signs, and I think we have to, planning board or somebody has to come up with something. We can't have a blue one here and a red one there and a purple one here.
Well, we do
Everybody's
have,
got to get to a standard wayfinding sign.
yeah, we do have,
That would be the way to go, because it's
We-
very nice when you go into these towns on the Cape, the way that they force everybody to adhere
yeah.
to their certain
So we
white
have,
with black letter or brown with whatever. I can't remember
We-
what New Hampshire's is, but New Hampshire has it statewide.
so the selectmen are responsible for signs. We have a sign bylaw, but it's pretty much dictates size and dictates no backlighting. You can have like spotlight lighting, but you can't have like a lit neon sign. But there is, I don't think there's a very big structure on the lettering and colors of the signs.
I'm talking about wayfinding signs.
Yeah.
I'm not talking
Oh,
about
business-
business
oh, okay.
signs on front of your
Okay,
property. I'm
yeah,
talking
okay,
about wayfinding signs.
Well, so the
which is
International has
different.
some, yeah.
Theirs should
Right.
all be
Players
standardized.
has
to what-
one
Yeah.
off the
You
highway.
know, should be made of wood,
Yeah.
should be made of this,
Yeah.
should have to be
Yeah.
maintained by you. If it falls
We
down,
recommend, we designate the company they have to go to, or
So that would-
it goes through planning, everything. so
That would
yeah.
have to be a town bylaw. And I know actually that one of the selectmen reached out to me saying that we should look into that. I mean, if it's something we want to spend cycles on, we could. Yeah.
I think it would make the town look a whole lot better than it does now, because I'm gonna tell you right now, what I drive around and see in town now.
So this all folds in with something that I want to,
Agree.
this all folds in with something that actually Rick brought up to me that I'll mention after. So that's it for that. So just print me out the things and, so social media update. It's been going really well. I mean, I think I sent out that, I sent out the, just for the one post about the vintage antique company. I think we had about 17 or 1800 views.
Wow.
100 to,
Yeah.
100 to 200 engagements, which means comments or likes. It was like about 10 shares. I mean, so when we put out an interesting story, it gets a lot of attention. We're at 399 followers right now. One more to get to 400. I know when I started doing it, like 3 or 4 years ago, I took it over from Lisa. It was at like 100 or so. So whenever and it's original content and original content with pictures. When there's original content with pictures, it blows up, you know. So along with what you were saying, I mean, anything we can get new businesses, or if you're going apple picking next weekend and you want to take a picture and say this is where I went, anything like that. I mean, it adds, you know, it adds to the Facebook page and the followers, you know. So, and I know that, you know, some of the followers is like a lot of like Central Mass agriculture and Neshoba Valley this, and a lot of sites that, you know, a lot of like, you know, Chamber of Commerce type sites are following ours as well. So sometimes they'll share, you know, news about businesses and stuff too. And I've had somebody from Boxborough and Harvard ask us about our Facebook page and social media and stuff. So definitely people are taking notice, and it's really starting to grow. And like I said, some of our big stories, we have like 2,000 views, which is pretty awesome. You know, you could arguably say, you know, that just as much as the Independent, if not more. And it's regional. It's not just, you know, if I can see, you know, the spread of where people are from, and it's like 60 or 70% Bolton, but there's a lot of people have moved out of Bolton. There's a lot of there's Clinton people.
I think if anything, once we actually link the EDC site to it also, I think we're even have more traffic.
Yeah.
It'll kind of like be a...
Right. So it's going really well. So again, I stress this every time. If there's ever any story you want to write about anything, or if you want to write 2 sentences that you went to Neatsuit's farm this weekend, and here's a picture of me petting the goat in there, or in Charter, anything, we'll post it, and it'll, and pictures amplify everything. So because a lot of times people
Is it better for I think you're the EDC on Facebook, right?
Well, it's Destination Bolton, and he says, Bolton EDC, Destination Bolton. Yeah.
But it would be better to submit a story to you and have it go out that way, or to do it ourselves on our own Facebook?
Well, I could do it like that. You can always, because I'm the administrator, you can post it and then I can share it.
Okay.
And so you could just post it as like anybody can post it. So when you go to the EDC's website, there'd be the timeline, but then you could see posts that just random people put on. And like if people do that, usually I'll just share it. But yeah, so if you send it to me, and I can give more people access to it too as well, if they want. But either way, however it works. If some people want to be posting to it often, I can add administrators. So anyway, that's going well, so keep it up. Welcome to Bolton Letters, which we talked about last year. We finally finished them after it was sitting there for a year, and you had your edits to me, and I never updated them, so they're finally finished. We currently have sent out, so pretty much we sent out any business that came here 2016 and after, we sent them out. So we've sent out about 45 or 50 of them.
Yeah, I think closer to 60 maybe.
Oh, okay, so we've sent out 60 Welcome to Bolton Letters, and now as they come in, it's automatically happening.
Yeah.
You have a stack of
I do.
the letters with signatures, so that's great. And it mentions Destination Bolton, talks about EDC, any way we can help you, so I think that's really good, so they get that personalized letter as they come into town. And now we're caught up for the last 2 years as well. So that's just another little touch. So current business news. So I'll just combine current business and new business. Erica sent me a list of new businesses. So a bunch of these are just home businesses. So this Lepettit Studio, so that's just a home photographer on Sugar Road. Again, all these new businesses, as they come in, I would typically like to contact and ask if they want to share something. Like I know the woman who just opened the art studio about Cool Arts when I wrote that story. No matter how small, if they want us to share something, fine. And I know that you did Oils of Eden and you did the 68 studio, right?
Can we get a copy of those businesses?
Yeah, definitely. I'll email this out. So there's Lepettit Studio. I don't know if you know more about this than just the name, or.
Endosan?
Well, so yeah,
It's a
you
company.
can run through them if you want. If they contacted you.
It's a company that essentially trains doctors that do like endoscopy surgery, and they have like these training machines, and that's essentially what they did.
So what space in Paragon did they take? Or are you not sure?
Some of the office space that's available.
So their office is
Yeah.
not manufacturing.
Yeah. And then Smart Owl Productions, they do video productions for business, education, and events. And then LK Consulting, that's actually Linda King. She's a freelance writer in town. So that's her consulting business. And then Eric already did a story on Still River Vintage Company, and they're over at 713 Main Street.
So I don't know, like the best way if I should assign this to people, or maybe I'll just email out the new businesses and first come, first serve, like, hey, I'll contact this, I'll contact that, and maybe that's the best way to do it, so.
I don't think we're gonna get them all covered, like, I'll be the first one, but I'm not a big wordsmith.
Yeah.
And so you won't be getting many articles
Yeah,
from me in general.
that's fine.
I'm a taskmaster.
Yeah.
I like to get things done.
Well, and that's the good thing about having an 11-person group is
Yeah.
a few people want to write stories, a few people want to,
Just get things
guide
done.
projects,
Yeah.
a few people want to be consultant-like people, so there'll be a little of everything, and that's why it's good to have a good mix. And that's why when I told you that, you can make of it what you will, wherever you want to go, and if you have any ideas of things we should do, then that's fine. So the other thing, Eric also sent some updates on current businesses. So the Cracker Barrel, which is your old real estate office, they are in a residential zone, They're currently a pre-existing non-conforming as retail office. The owner, who lives in Florida,
Right, they're currently just office.
okay, just office.
Existing non-conforming or office.
Office to
With,
retail.
I think,
Oh,
one
to
or two
retail
apartments
office.
in the
Oh, so they're just office. So the owner, he lives in Florida, he wants to
Yeah.
turn it into a general store.
We talked about this a couple meetings ago, and this came up.
Yeah, and that's actually, I think, the perfect use for that property right across from the common. But they have to go before the ZBA because it's pre-existing non-conforming, which means, you know, because it's in residential, they're kind of grandfathered into the office use, so the ZBA has to approve that they can be a general store. It would be, that's October 16th, I'll try to show,
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll try to show up, you know, it would be good to, have at least a statement from us that, you know, we support their case. And I know you sent me the application, I'll forward that out to
Sure.
everybody. It's a pretty thorough application.
He did a
The
great
new
job.
owner or the old owner?
This is the current owner, but he is selling the property, and so, just to be clear, he's not actually going to be constructing the general store. The
Oh, he's just
intent
trying
is
to
he's
get
gonna
his-
market it when he
As
sells,
a-
yes,
Okay,
as a general store.
okay,
But they could
gotcha.
potentially do a general store.
Okay, so he wants to get it zoned already ahead of time.
So he wants to make
appropriately
sure-
He wants to make
before
sure the
they do it.
permits are in
Again,
place.
like that's
Yeah.
more planning, he's working
Yeah.
with the town to figure it out.
Will the
He can do-
ZBA look less on that if he's just looking to sell it off?
No.
No?
That's my concern, yeah.
I worked there, I think.
Which building is that? Is that the brick?
It's a red building.
It's a red brick building.
Yeah.
Right.
Here.
Used to be real estate.
Yeah, correct, yeah.
Right at the blinking light, yeah.
What were you saying? It's a nightmare?
It's a nightmare.
Oh, because there's no
There's
parking.
no parking.
There's no for sale sign out there
And
though.
safety
It's not for sale right now.
Oh, it's not?
He wants to go through the zoning changes first before he does anything.
To make it more marketable.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna
Like,
talk
what
about,
would the general, like, what would it sell?
Like a variety
Where would you
store?
yeah,
park?
like a variety
Corner
store.
store?
Where would you
The car
park?
store, like, I don't
There's
know.
Penny
That's
Lane.
just, well,
I don't know.
so,
Safety would be my biggest concern with putting a store in there.
My
right now.
squares and sweet, yeah.
I don't know, I don't
so 40 years ago, it was like a general store.
Right.
Yeah,
Until we
Right.
fix the
And it was
problem
like
where you park.
exactly what you would think a general store was.
Just like cute little
Yeah.
cans.
Yeah.
Forties,
Snacks.
yeah.
Yeah.
Eggs and milk
Yeah.
and just, you know.
Yeah.
Some people park across the street and walk over.
Yeah, it's
And it would be nice, I mean, because of the whole public water and sewer issue, they can't actually make food there. So if they have like pre-made sandwiches or something from somewhere, but you have the Bolton Bean right down the road
Yeah.
too, so,
Well, and Subway and,
yeah.
what do you call it?
So what we were thinking with the town common, it would be nice to have something that you could walk to and pick something up and go sit in the common. I mean,
Visitor center.
Figure
buy
out a
it.
way how to make that.
Yeah, there you go, right?
Yeah.
There you go.
I know the owner, I don't think he's gonna sell it to us before we wanna pay for it,
Yeah.
so.
So a couple things about Crack Barrel. I mean, I was gonna get into this, well, I'll get into this in policy, but, you know, how it's zoned is one thing, and then, what was the other thing I was gonna say? How it's zoned, oh, in the parking, that's what you brought up.
Yeah,
So zoning and
parking,
parking. So, I mean, while we're here.
That's a side intersection over there.
I'm only worried about
So
the
first-
safety issues. And
Yeah.
as far as zoning it as back to a general store, I don't see any
Well,
issue with that.
So
but
first of all, in zoning, on that.
It's just the ugliness of that corner.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
And it's
yeah.
really scary and,
yeah.
you know, I'd hate to have some, you know, 4-year-old kid come running out of the general store and get hit by the Mack truck that's
Yeah.
trying to make the
Well, I
turn.
mean, it's Main
It doesn't
Street.
see him. I mean, because that corner is like, I just had an incident this weekend at that corner, trying to turn in with the tractor and some guy
Yeah.
like road raged me.
Right.
You know, it's like,
Well, I mean,
crazy
it's not like you
there.
can just write it off as, you know, you can't just
Yeah.
make it a vacant building, we wanna get it filled.
yeah, but get
What
it filled
about-
at what expense
So,
in
I mean,
somebody's
instead of being
life?
commercial, what about
That's
just
a different
residential?
story.
Turn into apartments or something, you know?
Well, we don't necessarily want.
I mean,
Oh, okay.
I would rather see,
Oh, it's a tight tank?
Eric, I'd be more behind it if there was a plan for
That's
helping that intersection
So
and the
first of all,
issue first.
so first of all,
You know,
on
That's
park,
my problem.
on parking, that is one of his issues.
They'd be the first ones to sign.
And one of the issues in parking in general is our parking bylaws are pretty stupid, you
Yeah,
know.
you were talking about that before, I remember.
You know, there's so much, you know, so any residential business, I forget the exact formula, so for retail, is it what is it, 2 to 1?
3 to 1.
So for every square foot of retail, you need 3 times that of parking. And So actually, you can't get enough parking in that spot, you know, to make it even work. So he was talking about putting a driveway on the other side and some parking to try to squeeze parking in. One thing on the planning board I would like to do is get rid of some of those parking bylaws so that you can put in the parking that you think your business would need, not, you know, to this draconian kind of formula. So that's one thing. I'd like to be able to reduce parking in impervious spaces if you could, you know, so you don't have this big giant parking lots and stuff. So that's one thing I would like to look at and if it makes sense or not. And the other thing on the zoning is, right now it's zoned residential. That business in the antique store have been pretty much businesses for hundreds, you know, the past 100 years. I would like to rezone those. I would like to rezone those to limited business so that the owners of those properties could have more opportunities with them and they can have more retail value. So potentially you can get somebody in there who will rehab it and make better use of the space. Because right now it's, you know, he wants to put in a general store, but he has to go through the whole ZBA. And, you know, it could only add value to those properties. You know, and I don't know, some people on Main Street would, you know, not want to have limited business because they would be worried about encroachment of businesses. I don't know. I mean, there's the arguments against it, I'm sure. But I think that's one thing that the planning board can look at. I don't know if anybody has an opinion on either one of those.
Well, I think the challenge is that you just talked about two locations that were businesses 100 years ago when Route 117 isn't what it is today, right?
Yeah.
And so I kind of think the parking bylaw makes some sense because you can't have 5 spaces for a business because then it becomes a 3-ring circus.
Yes.
And then it becomes a public safety issue. So I agree with you that although we need to encourage more kind of thoughtful thinking around these properties, they're kind of hemmed in by what they do.
Yeah.
Well, but also on your point,
I don't think anybody envisioned
Right, but
50 years
it would
ago
be a-
that there'd be 10,000 cars going up and
And
down.
designing a
So-
bylaw around
so
2
you-
properties is not the way to design a bylaw for a town. And I mean, if you look at the cupboard,
I'm not thinking 2 properties.
and you
I'm
look
thinking,
at, you,
I'm talking about all of
can I
them.
just finish my thought, okay? You look at the cupboard, you look at Clinton Savings Bank, who had to go through and get the right number of parking. I look at the veterinary, I look at all these buildings, and I say they have an appropriate amount of parking for what could happen at those places. And I would hate to see us really come way down on that just because we're trying to solve a problem at 2 that have been here for, as Michael said, that's a good point, for 100 years when horse and buggies and people were tying their stuff up to the hitching post out front, which is what was happening 100 years ago.
So you misconstrued my words.
Yeah.
I want to get, so all these businesses would have to go through a special permit with the planning board, and I'd rather have a more general parking bylaw, so that can be incorporated into the special permit, you know, so then we're not dictated. So we can, for each business, apply what makes sense for that particular business. You know what I mean?
I'll have to see it get written and see how it's done, because certain businesses do require, like a general store, needs an awful lot of parking spots, believe it or not, because people are gonna be in and out, and
parking-
needs the correct driveways, and should have the correct ingress and egresses going on, where, you know, an office, somebody using it as an office like they were, where the people are pulling in for maybe 5 or 6 hours, and then pulling out maybe once or twice, I agree, is a totally different use, and I'd like to see a use table and a required parking thing and such, not just but I don't want it to be, just whoever's on the board gets to decide whatever, because there are some public safety issues that go around these things, and we have to be very cognizant of that, because we don't
Well,
want
that's
to create a problem for
that's
people and
fine,
hurt somebody.
but just using a 3 to 1, you know.
Oh, I agree, I'm
doesn't
not
make
saying
sense.
that, for all businesses may not make sense.
But there wouldn't be you know, all these, you know, a special permit is required for these businesses, so, you know, that's one thing that we look at, is egress and ingress of parking to the access to the road, you know. we
But you
look
still
at-
need to have some guidelines for the people who come on, because they may not know. These may not be professionals in the parking world, and may not be planners and have civil engineer degrees like Eric and people like these, who know what you should have in these things and went to school for it. So you need to look at the professionals and get that information in there to help guide the residents who get on these boards, so that they know what's proper,
Right.
because not everybody knows what's proper in these things, so
Well,
it's not just.
The bylaw wouldn't be, you know, the parking is whatever the planning board wants. the bylaw would be, you know, for this type of business or for that type of business, and there would be guidelines set like you're saying, but it would make it a little bit more flexible. So if you're a smaller business, you don't have to abide by the same rules as a giant business.
Yeah, no, listen, like I said, a use table and some smart design.
And
all for
so,
that.
so if say it was a general store and they do have a parking story that we thought made sense, we're blocked by a bylaw that we can't, the zoning board can't change bylaws. We have to go by the bylaws, you know? So I'd like, you know, we've been kind of trying to make bylaws a little bit more, less static and more dynamic, I guess is what I want to say. So I would want to make it more dynamic, you know, where we can look, because, you know, 20, 30 years ago, we didn't have the special permit process. We didn't have design review board. So we have all these processes in place now where we have control of what every detail looks like down to the minute, you know.
I'd be cautious with that also though, because me as a business coming in and wanting to buy a property, I look at something, if it's why I go to the use thing, giving us some parameters so that person looking into the bylaws understands that you just can't, you know, have the parameters in there so that like a Clinton Savings Bank or somebody with their, you know, their design team and their people can read our bylaws and can understand our bylaws and say, hey, yeah, okay, this makes sense. I think this is what I'm gonna have to fit in, so this is what I'm gonna design to.
I mean,
so you have to put a lot of thought into it, I think. It's not bad,
Yeah, parking
Yeah.
is definitely defined by the use. I actually did a pretty extensive
Yeah,
study at
sure,
the beginning of the summer
yeah.
because I know planning board's going to be eventually looking at
Yeah.
it. And we're spot on for office space and for industrial. The number that we require compared to out of all surrounding
Yeah.
communities,
Yeah.
we're right on par. Retail, we do require a little bit more, but I also think our bylaw is just too general. Like, I completely agree with Mark. We need to have a use table that breaks
Yeah,
up,
that sounds good.
you know, and that way it gives planning board direction as well.
Yeah,
So,
no, I mean, that sounds good. It
but we
just,
just haven't
Yeah.
gotten into the details of it
Yeah.
yet.
Yeah, it's
So-
great.
So-
You know, I'd love to, I can't wait to see it.
and I'm saying this and opening up, but on the planning board, and we talk about it for weeks, you know, for multiple meetings, and then we have the hearing where, you know, it has to be advertised and presented that we'll be talking about this, and if the outcome is it doesn't make sense, which a lot of the things we talk about at planning board, the final outcome is it doesn't make sense, just leave it as it is, you know.
Yeah, but I do agree with you that it might be onerous in some ways on some things, and maybe some things need a 2 and not a 3, or a 1.5 and not a, so there are some things, I could totally agree, like a dentist, there's just, I agree with you. I mean, I'm just saying, a use case or
Yeah.
a table or something would probably be an easy way to
Well,
handle
so that's one thing I hope we'll be looking at,
Yeah.
and, you know, and if you have input, then come to the meeting, or just
No
email it
parking
to us.
expert, I just,
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, you know, we like to have
yeah,
input.
no,
And I'm just throwing these things out there. You know, I talk in further in the agenda, you know, I talk about big picture policy items, you know, anything like this that you think should be discussed or could be changed in that bylaws, that's something we should talk about. And the EDC can definitely drive issues if, you know, bring them up. If people think it's not needed or if people think it's needed, you know, it's great to talk about, and, you know, don't be scared to bring some item up if you think it's something that could be addressed, and if the entire committee thinks that it's a good idea, you know, then we could drive it to the planning board or drive it to the selectmen. So that's one thing we should be looking at, is kind of the big picture policy type items, and it's good to have these discussions, because everybody has an opinion.
Well, I think the only cautionary tale I would have is that I think you have to be as clear and concise as you can be, because as a family business in multiple communities, when there's a degree of subjectivity, they look at you either as, and I think Larissa can comment on this, well, you know, you're a credit union, you have plenty of money, so we want you to do this, this, and this. And that's frustrating. So I think we want to avoid any of that, because that is less inviting to a lot of people. They want to have.
The whole
a
goal is to make it more inviting. I'm not trying to add things, I'm trying to make it easier.
I understand what you're trying to do,
Yeah.
Eric, and I appreciate it, and I
Yeah.
applaud it.
But I think my
It's
point
always
is-
these unintended consequences, because I
Exactly.
can tell you, the communities that we've gone into, and we're
Yeah.
thrilled with all of them, however,
Yeah.
some we've paid a small ransom for, ransom's a poor word, sorry, but because, you know, it's subjective, you know, it could be greenery, You know, you bring in a site map that says, okay, what kind of trees do you want? Well, we want these, but we want to see it on your site map. Really? I mean, it's another $1,000. So we have to be careful with that.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of
Bolton does right
unintended
now, so.
consequences. No, I understand that, but we need to. That's why we need to make it a little bit more transparent as to specifically what we're looking for.
And I think it's also about the
I think it's
experience,
very,
too.
I mean, sorry to interrupt you.
No.
I mean, I think, you know, it's extremely, the process is long and arduous. I mean, it's not like, there's nothing hidden or subjective of what we want. I mean, the application for a special permit, you know.
Yeah, I was
Is-
talking about other communities. I think Bolton does everything just right.
I'm not saying, I'm not saying we do everything right. I'm just saying, you know, nothing's like hidden and we're not
No, I hear you.
holding people up for no reason, especially the planning board now. I mean, my only point of bringing it up is to try to make it easier for businesses.
Sure.
So within safety standards. And again, we bring these up at the planning board meeting, and if it makes zero sense, then
But to
we
keep
drop
it
it.
fair too, because the other thing is, you know, we'll go, and I know Larissa's experience, the city of Marlboro, and I don't want to sound disrespectful to them, it's almost as if you have significant resources, you just kind of do it. And you kind of ask for forgiveness later. That's not being disrespectful, it's just kind of like, we're coming in here and we got a lot of money and this is what we're gonna do. Some businesses don't view it that way. That's a really significant unintended consequence because other people are like, well, if they're gonna do that, then I'm just gonna do the same thing. And so I think there really has to be a thoughtful approach to this
Yeah.
because it really can be a freight train out of control. And they're struggling a little bit with it right now.
So I don't even know if you're arguing for or against me right now. I'm kind of confused.
Because it's you, I'm arguing against you,
Yeah.
but for anybody else that argues.
I think his key point was also making it easy for a small business to understand, because we're not gonna get the large.
Exactly my
I think his
point.
final point is, make it easy for the small business, family-style business coming in who may not have the large resources.
My point is to be thoughtful
Yeah.
so that there aren't any
Yeah.
unintended consequences
Well-
on the road that you have
Yeah.
to live with.
So one thing I think the EDC should be doing is having these discussions and driving, maybe not, they should be, if the planning board is doing something that the EDC doesn't think is correct or good or will help or will have unintended consequences, those voices should be heard. Sometimes on the planning board, most of the times on the planning board, when it comes to those discussions, it's just us five, you know, and sometimes it becomes a vacuum of our own opinions. So to have outside opinions, and I would like the EDC to drive those opinions, you know, to the planning board. So like, you know, I bring something up that maybe the other 10 of you think is completely idiotic, you know, and it's good to hear that, you know.
No, I didn't think this was idiotic in any way, by the way, so don't take it back that way.
I wasn't
there's
thinking
some
that, I was
ideas,
just saying,
okay?
you know,
I
I
think
come
there's
up with
good
some
ideas
crazy
in it.
things sometimes.
This isn't one of them.
I haven't heard of any, I've been coming to these meetings for almost a year now, actually a year now, and I haven't heard anything crazy.
Oh, Rick.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah, well, anyway. Yeah, I mean, and I would like to look at, on the planning board, the coverage that businesses are allowed to have.
When you say coverage, what do you mean?
Oh, the footage, like what they can cover in
footage
their
per
lot.
acre, yeah. Right now, we're at 8%, which is very
Yeah.
prohibitive.
Makes it very hard to develop
Yeah.
and do something, even if you were just trying to put up an office building like his,
Yeah,
you know, becomes a.
you can only cover 8% of
Yeah.
the lot.
So,
So I'd like to look at that.
Are you guys looking at that this year, or?
I mean, I asked the board to look at it. I mean, whether it gets on the agenda or not, I'm not the chairman, so, I mean,
Well, you're gonna be chairman. You can drive us.
I'm not the chairman. And we'll probably talk about it, but, I mean, we're working on this cottage overlay, which you may or may not know about. We have to do the recreational marijuana bylaw.
yeah, medical's already gone.
Yeah, medical's
That's
done.
all,
Yeah.
that's
It's all done.
long old news.
So we did the moratorium on recreational marijuana last year. Now we actually have to do the bylaw. So, I mean, we have a lot of stuff. We had like a list of 20 items. There's no way we could do it all. So I think just policy-wise that this board should have kind of a say, you know, drive opinions to the planning board, and if the planning board is doing good or bad, it'd be good for the planning board to hear that.
But you're gonna be there anyway, right? So you could just drive it.
You drive me right there first, yeah.
I'd rather have, you know, not be the voice of 11, I'd rather have, you know, everybody involved.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I know what you mean.
I mean, the more people at the meetings, the better. I mean, for the cottage overlay, we invited different realtors, you were there. We invited developers, you know, to see, because we want this to actually be used. So not, you know, we did this, you know, the village overlay bylaw, and it really doesn't make sense for anybody financially, you know, to actually use it, because the carrot was to give them, was it 10% versus 8%? So like, what's the point? You know, it really needs to be probably 20 or 30%, you know, to actually use it.
So maybe it needs a change, right?
Well, that's one thing I would like, that's one thing on my list, was to address the coverage of the mixed-use overlay. So there's a ton going on, and, you know, shaping the town, you know, industrial as well, looking at what that coverage should be. There's just so many items that we could talk about, and we don't want to completely change the face of town, but we want to modernize it. You know, the budget crunch is insane. School keeps on going up 5% every year. Town budget went up like 0.8%. The taxes keep going up, so we need more tax revenue, but we want to do it that it fits inside, you know, the confines of Bolton. We don't want to completely change what it looks like.
But again, there's that unintended consequence, because you create greater density, you're gonna need fire, we need
Yeah.
volunteer fire department now. I mean, there's a whole,
Well, so that's
bunch
a
of
whole
things
piece.
that go
Yeah, that's a whole piece
along
of it,
with
yeah.
this.
Yeah, for sure,
It's not just this is all good, we're gonna benefit from this, there's
No.
costs that go.
100%,
along with it.
yep, that all has to be looked at. Yep, and if it doesn't make sense, then it doesn't make sense.
Right.
117 is such an issue.
Yeah.
What is?
117.
So Cobham's.
People want to move from that side of town to that
Oh,
side of
I
town.
did. You know, the
I
funny
did. I
thing
moved
is
to the side
when we
of
bought it, we had no idea that this side
I
was
have a
horrendous, and we
proposal
got lucky,
from-
got the other side.
In the morning and the afternoon, you have to show your tax bill, and then you automatically.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly,
There you
right?
go.
It's
You
like
didn't
Bob's
pay
Lane,
taxes,
Bob's Lane.
you have to wait till we're all
Bob's
where we need to be.
So,
God, when I drive home, I'm like, are you kidding me?
20
Where are all these
minutes.
people going?
Yeah.
so, for those who went to the breakfast, you know that was actually a big discussion, and the owner, the CEO of Paragon, will tell you that his biggest concern in town is the traffic. He's losing people because it takes them to get at 5 or 5:30 when they're going to race to get their kids from daycare or whatever. It takes them a half an hour or more to get from Paragon to 495.
Well, didn't we have the state come in and they wanted to like take over the street and they would have made all those improvements that probably would have fixed it?
Yeah, I mean, Mark will argue against that,
Right.
of course, but.
They would have fixed all of it.
How many miles?
30 years from now, after you get behind, and he said it right at the Metro West thing, after we get behind the Route 90 interchange thing, believe it or not, the Route 90 interchange is being done, which isn't as big of a problem.
Route 9 or 290?
The Route 90,
Well, okay,
which
we'll
is,
get-
sorry.
Oh, yeah, the Mass Pike.
Pike.
Yeah, all those-
Before, the 290 interchange, which the 290 interchange, this affects us, by the way, is now backing up all the way to Bolton.
Oh, I know it is.
That
Yeah,
interchange
yeah.
isn't a problem, yet that's where it is on MassDOT. This is from our breakfast.
Right, yeah.
Barry Lorian stood up there and said, MassDOT is focused on the Mass Pike 495 way before 290. So
Right.
where do you think Bolton and 117 was gonna be in that list? We're 30 years
I was just
behind.
under the impression that once it was passed, they were gonna start working on it pretty quickly. That was
No.
my general feel, no?
No,
They
they
were-
had no
no,
real
they-
plan, they had no plan.
Well, their 10-year plan
No.
was, to add lines.
Yeah, add lines,
Um,
we could do that.
A couple of like very minor things.
Yeah, they were gonna do very minor things.
Yeah, that was their
Yeah.
10-year plan.
Their 10-year plan was nothing. We'd all be dead before they would fix the road. So, it's-
Alright, so what's next unless
Yeah.
you got?
Well, there is something happening on the road.
Well, so I want to say one thing.
The high school, they're working on the high school, we're gonna get a safety, Erica can update us on that, a safety zone at the high school. So,
What does
and
that mean? Someone's gonna stand outside and, you know,
No, they're
they're
gonna-
gonna get hit with a sign or?
they're gonna squeeze down the lanes, they're gonna do a bunch of traffic calming, well, you could probably explain better than I can, because
My understanding, it's essentially signage. There's
Yeah.
gonna be flashing signs and there's gonna be speed limit control, so it's gonna be
Okay.
reduced.
Yeah.
That's more for safety for the high school. That's not
I
going to help.
think, you know those
Well, but
signs?
it's great though for the school, because trust me, I have a kid that goes to
Yeah.
high school down there, and getting out of that lot is,
Yeah, it's a awesome.
it's like I'm
I
just
think we
praying to
purchased
God
two,
before I pull
right?
out, I don't get hit.
The signs that are in Lancaster, the signs that are in Lancaster, two of those signs that are in Lancaster are going in down there, I believe they're going there, to say if you're going over 40, it's 45 miles an hour there, by the way. If you're going over the speed, they flash at you and all that.
Yeah.
They also record the data of who's going over, who's not. They're also they're gonna make the lines, believe it or not, this is from MassDOT, you make your lanes smaller, your lane lines smaller, which calms the traffic. After they do all this, MassDOT's gonna come in, and they're already designating it a safety zone, MassDOT, I believe, which makes us eligible for special funding and other things and stuff. And they're gonna come in and reevaluate the speed and probably try to get that speed.
So they're doing this
in that
now, is
stretch.
what you're hearing?
We're doing
Not
this
10
now.
years down the road?
No, we're doing it because we're pushing, as the town pushing.
Right.
Okay.
MassDOT never even mentioned any of this in their
Okay.
report. It's townspeople,
Yeah.
town
It's
officials pushing to get it done.
So there is a committee forming under the selectmen, 117 Road, I forget what the exact name is. I saw you at the meeting and you said that you would like to have an EDC.
I thought it was good for businesses in town to see the EDCs
Yeah,
as part of that.
so I think that's good.
They know that this is on the radar screen of the EDC in the town.
'Cause I
They
know-
understand that there's traffic issues, and
I know
whether it
that,
takes 10 years or 30 years,
yeah.
or whatever consequences there might be in 50 years, at least we're looking at it and working.
I mean, personally, I think what would fix the problem, which I don't even know if it's possible because how close the houses are to the road, is a left-hand turning lane onto Aquatic. I mean, that would,
That's,
They
yeah.
can't get it in there as easily, but you can get it at Manor.
right, so if you don't allow left-hand turning at.
Don't allow lefts at Aquatic at all.
Yeah.
Make
Or
all
certain
lefts
times during
go,
the day.
or at certain times or something,
Yeah.
and you can play around
We
with
have
that.
that
Mary
also.
said that that's perfectly
Right.
within.
Because then you'd have a
what
long
MassDOT
run
allowed.
up.
Yep.
You know, so I think that's, you know, I know that mobility was looking more at traffic calming and safety, but I think from an EDC perspective, I think the biggest concern is the backup of traffic for those businesses. And I know that.
Yeah, but you know what though, that's everywhere. City of Marlboro has the same thing on Route
Yeah, but
20.
this
If you
117 's
need to
really
get
bad.
to
Yeah.
a highway,
He's right.
it's bad everywhere.
It's awful.
Hudson has the same challenge, I
Yeah.
gotta go up
But
Route
it doesn't,
62.
that doesn't mean we can't try to improve it.
I agree,
I know
but I
that,
think the
yeah.
challenge is, how are you gonna expand that road? There's too much volume,
Just what
there's
we
too many
said.
cars. There's too many cars that go up 117.
Well, if you get a left-hand turning lane, and if one
It
car
will help.
if one car is trying to turn left onto Aquatic, it stops.
And have the whole traffic,
Right.
all behind
Well,
it, yeah.
ban left-hand turns at
That's-
Aquatic, you
we
get
can-
more run rate.
That's what Mark's been saying.
There's
that.
no
I
reason
agree.
not to do that, and that's
Even
one
from
sign
4 to
to do
6,
that.
no left-hand turn here.
They do it in Boston all over the
On the
place.
Jamaica
You
way,
can't
we
take a
have this
left on
road
the
that takes a
streets.
left right into one area of JP, that at 4 to 6 o'clock every day, you cannot make a left because
Yeah.
it's literally a freeway at that
It's a
point.
great idea, Rick.
And
We
it
should
forces
suggest
you up,
that
and
at
it
meeting.
forces you up to a light, and that, an
Is
actual traffic
our
light, then you
role
can
to
take a left.
recommend the traffic solution? Or can we just say the EDC thinks 117 traffic is a problem and move on?
I think, you know,
We can
as a
make
board, we can
recommendations, why not?
recommendations. Yeah, why not? Why wouldn't we be able to?
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have power over it, but we could say the EDC, you know, I think I went before the board to talk about the public sewer, you know, for this area.
Eric,
You know, we can sponsor bylaws. We can,
What task force?
you know,
one for the.
we can sponsor our own bylaw if we wanted
No, I
to.
don't.
We can,
You're not?
we can go,
Sitting on it.
selectmen typically want somebody to represent
I
an
thought that
issue.
it was our
So the EDC could
1984.
present our reason why we think
I don't know.
a left-hand
I know.
turning lane there is important, you know, or no left at this time and
They
it
already
needs to
had
be
a meeting.
addressed.
Who's on it?
Then
You
I'm
know,
not
so
on
we can
it.
definitely do that.
What
Whether
was
we
the
feel like we
meeting?
should or not, then fine.
Did they already have a meeting for that
What?
committee, or are they forming
I
it?
think they're just forming it.
Okay,
They
because,
voted on, I think it was the 17th, to form the committee.
oh, the selectmen did
And then in the paper I saw,
an advertisement for it.
yeah, they're looking for volunteers.
Yeah.
But now, when I went to that meeting, I got there late, just as they were starting to talk about it. When I went back and looked at the YouTube video, they had said that the volunteers they're looking for, they want them to be experienced in these sorts of things, grants, what you can and cannot do on roads,
Well,
you know,
yeah,
that sort of thing.
but it also, it's, you know, we can get an EDC person on there for sure. I'm sure they'll carve out a spot for the voice of the business on there, you know, and if you want to be on that, great.
I'll send Linda a letter.
Because when we had the mixed-use village overlay, they carved out a spot for an EDC person, so, I mean, they could definitely carve out, make sure that we get on it.
Okay. All right.
But, and more to your point, we can make this whatever we want to make it, you know?
It feels like we're bouncing around in violent agreement that 117 traffic is a problem, and I wasn't sure, is it helpful if we come to a, hey, here's our consensus about how it ought to be solved, or is it more helpful for us to come to consensus that, yes, this is a problem,
Yeah.
please fix it?
Well,
Yeah,
so,
Which of those,
so there's
which
that,
of those
there's
is?
that group forming. So I think what we do, if he's gonna be on it, maybe through him, you know, have him be the voice of the, you know, just be like, this is what we think would be good to drive that, you know? And, I think that left hand is the issue, but, you know, we have to go through the.
Yeah, it is.
Well, I think there's two issues though.
I think we all can agree on that.
It's a huge issue. And until they have to redesign that whole intersection.
Right.
Signs can do only so much.
Yeah.
You know where Colonial Candies is?
Yeah.
So probably 15 years ago, they moved the road over to the right so that you were directly across from the highway. That improved dramatically,
Yeah.
dramatically. They moved the road
Yeah.
25 feet. They have to do the same thing. They actually have to change the driveway to the high school. They have to make it smack in the middle,
Yeah.
so you can't come in from 9 different directions.
I mean,
It's a free-for-all.
once,
It totally is, it's.
They have to have
Yeah,
one center
yeah.
driveway.
I mean,
Get rid of
there's
the other
that,
two.
there's the Waterquatic intersection, then there's the Manor Road Harbor intersection, which I take all the time, and that is a death trap.
Oh, yeah.
Going
left out of there is brutal.
Yeah.
Traffic was backed up Sunday. It was, you could clearly see, I was going the other way, I was going towards Stowe, and it was just backed up, took me forever to get there. And the other side was backed up way, way beyond Waterquatic. And it was one person, and I was coming slowly towards, and one person wanted to take a left. Nobody was letting him in.
Yeah.
You know, and people were backed up all the way to the highway, just on a Sunday, mid-afternoon.
Yeah, just one person wants to turn left.
One person wants an invitation to turn left, and
Yeah.
they need a quarter-mile visibility, you know, I think it's a good start anyway to think
Yeah.
about things like that.
Yeah. Okay, so
What's next?
for other businesses, that Baba Cool Arts, which is in, on Sugar Road, right at the intersection of Sugar Road and Golden Run. She is gonna be the first person that uses the, barn bylaw. So she's gonna turn a barn into like a studio and a place that she could sell it out of there. So the planning board created this barn bylaw so that old barns would be saved and could be used as businesses, so that's pretty cool.
So on Sugar Road, oh, the one on the
So when you go,
right-hand side?
yeah, when you go on Sugar Road and it forks off to Golden, the next house on your left,
Oh, okay, once
that's
you
her
get onto
studio.
Golden.
She creates some
No.
pretty amazing art.
No, don't go up to Golden, go
Yeah.
around the
Stay on
that
Sugar.
elbow there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
She's the first house after you take the
Yeah,
elbow turn.
yeah.
okay, so after the development, there's a new
Is that the old
development there.
farmhouse that went with the
But on
property?
Sugar Road,
Yeah. that's
Yeah.
okay.
Take the shop right, don't go left.
yeah. And then, so you're still on Sugar Road, and then she's the first house right there, that little antique house.
Oh, okay, okay.
With the red barn close to the road,
Yeah,
and that's the
Oh,
barn.
no, that's
No,
across
that's
the
the other
street.
one. That's
Okay.
across the street.
I say,
It's
that's
on the
a
other
brand
side.
The other
That's
side
the
of the road.
carpenter's barn.
No, the other side of the road.
Okay.
But so the point of that bylaw was to save these old barns and to let people use them for creative uses. And so she's gonna be the first person that is
that's
gonna
nice.
potentially, so that's good. Country Covered is, they're done with they completely redid their septic so the public could actually use the bathroom. But now they're about to, renovate the inside and the outside to get Dunkin' Donuts in there and.
I was wondering what was going on with that. I've been like looking every time, waiting for the sign to get hung. Okay,
If it looks
so.
anything like 626, I'll be happy.
so-
It's all about first
Thanks,
impression,
Mark.
and that's not a first impression of Golden.
Yeah.
So it's
Not again.
tuck and tuck, so it'll probably be similar.
Okay. Now, what do they do? Myself, Bob, and Amy were talking about on the way over here. There were plans a year and a half, 2 ago, specifically when Country Covered actually announced they were going to open up a restaurant to the left of actually that space that Cape Cod. And ever since they found out they were able to have an accessory Dunkin' Donuts, we haven't heard anything about that Cape Cod that was then zoned. I think it was zoned commercial at that point, wasn't it? Or did
So
they try
that
it?
was actually my next point.
Yeah, because if they're not going to use it, we need to figure out.
Well, no, so it's,
They have to
they own
use
the
it
house, it's their
Because they
land.
put the septic over that way.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they put in the septic's gonna be for both that new business and
Okay.
for Country Covered.
Okay.
I think so, that's right, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and, when that gas station was potentially coming in with the whole Dunkin' Donuts thing, that kinda slowed them down because now they
It costs
have
$1
a
million
big.
bucks to buy into the franchise of Dunkin' Donuts, so that's a lot of
Right.
money. That's where the money went, I
I
think.
think it's, not them, I think it's somebody
They're just
probably
leasing
leasing the
the
space.
Yeah.
But, So now that's settled, and you said that they just applied for a demolition
They will
permit
be
for that house.
applying
Oh, okay.
for a demolition.
So for that house
Okay.
that's there,
All
so,
right. Yay.
Oh, it's
Progress.
coming down.
so it's coming down,
Progress,
and they have
yes.
that, you know, it's gonna be a two space building, it's
Yeah,
like
the-
3,000 square feet.
It'll be
And
some
yeah,
time.
something on the
before it
second
comes
floor
down,
and then
but-
first floor, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but so they're working through it,
Okay, good.
yeah.
I'm glad to see that there's progress, because
Yeah.
it's moving kind of slow.
Well, in fairness, David Hood passed away
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
5 months ago, so.
That's-
Oh, I didn't know
that's-
that, so.
Yeah.
A lot, so, and you, nor should you know, but, I mean, so that's one of the reasons why it's been
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
delayed.
What are they planning to put in that?
The other two, they're not sure yet, they're thinking like a restaurant.
They
and-
said restaurant in the very beginning when they went to the town,
Yeah.
so I assumed restaurant, so
Yeah.
I want restaurant.
Nice.
So they kind of create their own village. So what they're doing is, when you drive in to the left of the country cupboard, they're gonna have spots on the right and the left, so it's kind of like a courtyard to go to the 470 Main Street's gonna look towards the country cupboard, so it's kind of be like, sort of like a little
Yeah.
village feel to
I
it.
think they're closing that up, that first entrance down too, right? The
And
first
right.
one that you come to
Were
from
they?
here, they're.
I don't think
I
so.
kind of glide right into that spot too, and I need to
I
go.
thought they were closing one and then trying to make flow in
I don't
and
think
out.
so.
I like that
Oh,
spot.
maybe that was the original.
I don't think so.
I don't want a hard right.
But the big thing is they're not adding another curb cut for 470.
Is that what it was?
So
Oh,
you're gonna
okay.
come-
Right.
Maybe that's what I
Sharing-
saw.
sharing the
Yeah.
curb cut.
They're gonna share that
The
curb
second
cut,
one.
share septic,
Okay.
so it's gonna be like, you know, a little plaza, I guess, you can call it,
So when are they gonna start renovation? Do we have a date or?
For which one?
Renovation.
for country
Okay.
cupboard.
Country cupboard.
They're working with their architects, so I don't have an
Okay.
exact date, but they
Okay.
are working on
All
it.
right, good.
The first thing was to improve the infrastructure, which is their septic, you know, so,
And that's done.
and that's done, I think.
That's- Yeah.
Cool.
Just one other update, Eric, that came in after I had sent you that email. So Keller Williams reached out to me last week, and there's gonna be two properties going on the market. Colonial Candies, the entire property.
Oh,
Oh,
boy.
wow.
That's
is going
what-
up for
So they're
sale.
done, they're going out of business then, or?
They're looking to retire. That's
Oh.
my understanding from what he told me. And then Dagnall's liquor store.
Oh, really?
That property also. That
Really?
may already be on the market, I'm not
On
sure,
Forbush
but
Mill?
Is he looking to retire or is it just?
No, it's owned by
No,
other
No,
people.
that's all by other.
That used to be Firewater, it doesn't seem like, nobody knows it's there.
There's a family that owns it.
Besides town people, nobody knows it's there,
Well,
unfortunately.
it's tucked down, you really don't see it from 117, that's the
Right.
problem,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's not a great
Does
retail
Dagnall
spot.
own it?
No,
No, they just lease it.
Okay.
okay.
And so does the SAT folks just lease it,
Yeah.
or whatever the tutoring folks.
So the liquor store is moving out, so then that, okay.
Which is one of the big issues with the kids. I don't know if our daughter goes across for tutoring and they
It's right
cross
next
the
to it.
road to go to tutoring.
I thought you meant the liquor store.
I was wondering where he was going. I was like,
Yeah, like,
yeah.
I get enough to worry about,
Yeah,
really?
That's where the tutors go, right, when they're done.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Tutoring our
Like, oh my god.
kids. It's kind of perfect for them, probably.
It's certainly convenient, right?
Yeah, so Colonial Candies, that's zoned residential though, right?
And it's funny you mentioned that
Oh, it's
because
not.
if
Oh,
it's
it's
really-
limited business.
I saw their sign on the highway, and actually the candies fell off.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I scratched myself, and they left it like that. I'm like, oh my, what's going on? And the building's dated interior-wise
Yeah.
also, and
But
it
I
needs
think
it needs
it
a big refresh.
It has good potential.
It has
Absolutely.
potential, but that
Yeah.
visibility off of 495,
Yeah,
I
right.
mean, that could be.
That's gonna get scooped up.
Yeah.
What about the house across the street between Integrated and the highway? Is it, I know there's been
Oh,
some
there
interest
is,
in that.
yeah, actually, I'm meeting with them tomorrow, so that, everyone that's interested in that is looking at gas stations, so.
Yeah.
Where's this?
I think so.
515.
Between Integrated
When you're
and the
talking
highway.
about.
Right on the ramp.
Oh, we were just talking about that one too. Yeah.
Is there even
Yeah.
enough room there?
I don't think there is, but
There isn't.
I don't know.
Another
I-
gas.
Yeah.
Well, the good news is it won't be one that'll accept trucks, because there's just no way you're gonna truck it
Yeah,
down.
yeah.
You'll
Don't
have
worry
trouble
about
delivering
signing
the
it.
nothing.
It'll have to be for compact cars only.
Yeah, for
I
hybrids
don't want
only.
that.
No, you don't need a gas station.
No,
Yeah.
we have one already. We're all set.
Again, it goes back to zoning. It's
Yeah.
not about what we
Yeah.
want, it's what
Yeah.
we're zoned for.
And
You can't choose
And that's
businesses.
and right now that's like
That's
Cape
business
Cod is
zone.
there, right?
That's-
And it's zone commercial?
It is.
Okay.
That's one thing we always have to correct ourselves on the planning board, is you can't choose businesses. You can set.
Well, the town's gonna vote it down, so we.
I mean, no, you have to
They won't
table
get a
leases.
choice.
Again, it's
We don't
about
have a choice.
zoning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they have to fit into
Gas-
all
gas
the
stations are
bylaws
allowed.
and all the setbacks and all
But
the
the
stuff.
room
make it
rumor is it's a
impossible, so-
fairly
Yeah, I don't know how much.
significant entity that might be interested.
It's the broker that I've been talking to, so I don't know who his client actually is at this point. I'll know Wednesday, but.
I think it's a fairly
I assume it's
significant.
larger.
And so
Oh, right, but
the
it's-
global one kind of fell apart
That did.
Because-
I-
because they just
I-
wanted 3 acres and they were gonna have to pretty much,
I think
take
the-
care of that
the site
entire
costs
ridge,
were
right?
just astronomical.
I mean, just to
Yeah.
do 3 acres is not possible. Pretty much you have to,
But the ledge clearing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you have to
it's
clear
just-
ledge
I
field.
don't think they could
it
come.
has to be a
back.
whole development.
Are you talking
Financial
about the
terms.
30-acre one?
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
that's-
global on the other
Yeah,
side.
that's, we need to partner with them in figuring that out.
Well, so there's more vacant space to fill.
Yes, I need to update that.
So I put here, discuss strategy and brainstorm on how we can fill vacant space, but it's already getting to be like 8:40, I think we kind
So
of.
the Colonial Candies, how is that zoned again? That's,
It's primarily, I believe, limited business.
Oh,
And then
okay.
there's like a very small sliver that's in residential.
oh, okay, good.
Well, but the land next to it, between them and 117 is also for sale.
It's only one parcel. I don't know why that.
Is that,
If you look at our assessor's map,
Yeah.
it's one parcel, so I'm not really sure why that was ever sold separately or they tried to sell it separately because it wasn't a separate lot.
Is that the lot to the right of Colonial Candies?
If you're facing Colonial Canyon standing on Sugar Road, it would be, yeah.
On your right, it looks like more like a
Marsh.
Yeah,
wetland
it's
kind of
the
area.
mostly,
Yeah, that's why people don't,
yeah.
they can't vision it. I mean, it's
Right.
wetlands, they can
So-
do anything. That's-
so one thing I should add, which Mark will hate, is on the Forbush Road development. I just know you'll hate it, right?
Mill Road development.
Yeah, the housing development that's going in across the street from you.
Oh, the one there, yeah. I
So-
call it the Wilder. whatever,
Yeah,
the
so,
Wilder
so,
property.
so that lot, had a piece of limited business in there. So on the, if you,
On the corner, right?
yeah, on the corner.
Yeah,
And we actually managed to carve it out from their 11 house development, so now there's a land set aside piece for limited business, which we were kind of happy as a planning board, but of course that makes the intersection worse.
Well, they're gonna, that intersection,
Will
the
be
thought
fixed,
on
yeah.
that is, it will be fixed, and the thought is that intersection, and MassDOT kind of suggests, is kind of on board for this, for that intersection potentially, is a roundabout for that
Yeah,
intersection.
well, that would be great.
So, because that keeps traffic flowing. They love roundabouts because they
Yeah.
keep traffic flowing,
Right.
and they actually have significantly less traffic accidents than lights, believe it or not.
But so-
Statistics.
That land potentially was going to be, they were thinking about making it potentially a 40B, another like little housing development, but we were able, the planning board was able to have them carve it out and leave it alone, put their entire development on just the residential area and leave that limited business area so we can.
Separate.
So, separate, so they, and we actually just did the A&R plan, which officially in the records now, it's its own lot, its own limited business lot on the corner there, so.
What's the size of it?
I don't remember.
It's like 5 acres or
5
something.
acres? That's a pretty good size.
Yeah, and there's access on the Main Street side, and then on the other side of the DPW, there's access to Forbush Mill Road.
Is limited business allow a gas station?
Yeah, I mean, it's all through special
Yeah.
permit.
Yeah,
That's a better spot than at the highway.
Whatever happened to the auction house place? Is that
Although
still
you got
going
the
in there?
traffic problem
Oh,
there.
the
But,
pool,
yeah.
right?
Yeah,
yeah,
is that
this is a
happening?
pool
For the
company.
rotary traffic.
Are they leasing it? Because I don't see it on here or anything.
Well, they were gonna buy it.
so could be just went all the way around and fix the
Where's
problem.
environmental
You know.
pools? Are they?
They are going into, well, I don't know, they're supposed to be submitting their application for special permit, but at Skinner's.
Yeah, because they came in for a
Yeah, I mean,
informal. He was awesome.
I believe their closing was this summer, so
Yeah.
they may even own the
Yeah.
property. at
Okay,
this
good.
point. I'm not
Good. One
sure.
more thing.
I mean, if you go to their website, they do these incredibly high-end
Very
like,
nice.
landscaped,
yeah,
like
company.
What's it
rock
called?
waterfall environmental pools. They do amazing
Is the
work.
business, he was very excited about it.
He was very,
Really, and it just sounds like it's gonna
Yeah.
be so cool.
Yeah.
Great, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And
So that's one to stay in business, we saved it.
What's that?
Maybe they want to take care of the sign.
There you
Oh,
go.
there you go, there you
Yeah.
go. Well, I'm gonna reach out to RV
At least
Landscape,
use the
they're our
traffic.
landscapers, I mean, he would love free signage.
So we discussed big
It's like a no-brainer.
Right.
So
He's in Berlin though, not local, but
So I had here on the agenda, I had on here the agenda, determine other committees, subcommittees in town, the EDC can be present on a drive to help the overall economics of the town. One thing we talked about is 117 planning committee. The other thing that you brought up, which I kind of thought was the other day, a good idea, and I know that other towns have it, is a beautification committee. Not that we would be doing it, but I
But
think
there are some things that overlap in our
I think
area
that we
need
but
to start shifting.
you can do it too. What I think we should do is we should go to the selectmen and suggest that that's a committee that's formed.
Right.
For specifically what you
Signage.
bring up is the town
Reuse.
common.
Town common, Reese,
It just looks kind of, I mean, it's nice that it's a common, but it's kind of,
not much to look at.
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
It's plain.
But so like I know that somebody at my work, she's on a beautification committee, I think in some town in New
I don't want to
Hampshire.
call it that. I think we should call it something else, but yeah.
Whatever, that's what,
Main Street something, or who knows.
but what they do is they, pinpoint areas that they,
There.
Main Street's ugly. I mean, there's some
Yeah.
really nice houses, but it needs to be
That
fancied up.
85, one Main Street intersection that I hit every day of my life. It just, it's overgrown.
I mean, it would be great if there was a committee that would be focused on improving the visual looks of the town, and they could get a budget to do it,
Right,
Yeah. And so I clearly don't want to do it as the EDC, but we could recommend to the selectmen that they create this committee and create, write a paragraph of what they would do and, what they-
Right.
so I think we can present, and I think that,
I could work on
even though I
writing.
don't want to work it on the EDC, I think that it would improve the economics of the town and that it's just prettier to look at.
Yeah, and
versus-
they could take up a lot of the stuff that kind of comes up, like the signage stuff that we talk about,
Mhm.
the wreaths.
And even things that I hate is the mailbox and the buckets. Like, granted, that's somebody's personal property, but you could come up with
The
something.
mailbox and the buckets, what I don't understand.
We'll put the mailbox in the buckets.
What? Oh, they do that because the snow plow tears it all
But
down.
I'm just-
They're all.
They can't sink them either, I don't think, in the
Yeah.
sidewalk. I don't think they're
Yeah.
allowed to maybe sink them
I
in the
don't know.
sidewalk.
I'm just saying, it's just, the whole. it
That's a
just-
hot button issue.
I'm not.
I'm staying
I
away
think
from that.
we need to
Let's
worry
get off
about
of that.
Yeah, I don't think we should be focusing on, I think we should focus on more like.
We
some-
would, we would,
Yeah.
we
I'm
wouldn't
out.
be focusing on it at all. I just think that it's, I wouldn't want to spend any cycles of ours on that.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, if we could suggest to the selectmen that a committee
Yeah.
to look at that solely, because I think there probably are people in town who have
Well-
emailed me who would like to pretty up certain areas.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe we ask them for that. And then I just choose a direction the
I
EDC
can do,
wants
I
to
can do
focus.
this. Risley, you,
Gardening club.
yeah, garden club, we can call it,
Yeah.
yeah. Main Street Garden Club.
Main
There
Street.
you
There
go.
used to be a Bolton Garden Club.
Was there?
I don't know, is there still one?
I think there's still a Bolton Garden Club. I think they did a bunch of stuff down at the Common.
But now the town common is town owned, and I don't know how much, I know the BCT said they'd be responsible for the pavilion and some big ticket items, but just in general, making the area look nice is, and even Memorial Park and different things, it'd be nice to have what things look like be on somebody's mind,
Right.
not ours, because we have many other things to do. And then I just said, choose a direction, which these meetings are always so kind of
I feel like we were all
chaotic
there
and there's a
today.
million things.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all over the place. It's tough for.
Well, I've written down a couple things. I heard way signage was important. I think maybe we could start a committee on that specifically. I think, I'd be more than happy to participate on that committee, but I'm not leading it.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
No, I'm just,
Well, we already looked
I
at
think some
wayfinding.
people,
I don't think we're.
No?
I think what we have is what we have. Well, maybe I don't know.
I mean,
I don't know if that's something we want to address.
It's in the minutes.
Yeah.
That's all I can tell you.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do
I
my
mean,
best.
we're walking out with not a lot of things to do this year right now. We got the website we gotta wrap up and do, and then,
So I'll try to create an outline of directions and tasks that we could do, and
Okay.
pretty much what I need is for people to sign on to
I
some
do,
things.
I do think wayfinding is kind of,
Yeah.
we should tackle it because
I
it is
do.
kind of a business related.
it is, and if you come off the highway, not heading south, it looks great. As soon as if you're coming north and you're getting off, you're looping around, and it's this way, that way, Slater's sign is almost falling down. It
That's
looks
not
pretty-
wayfinding though.
Oh, you're right.
Wayfinding is more, a
Yeah.
schematic that tells you, okay, this is here, this is here. You see most of them in downtowns where people are pedestrians and they
Oh,
walk
yeah, you're
into
right,
a
okay,
congested
right.
area.
Oh, you're thinking that type of, or I'm
That's
thinking
the way I
driving sign
define it.
like,
I'm thinking the same
hey,
thing.
restaurant this
That
way, like
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
on.
yeah.
Right.
That's
on
what,
114 up in New Hampshire, and I know that I can take this right, and there's a restaurant
I'm
out there.
thinking Google Maps for that, but you're saying that if
You
someone...
can't touch your phone when you're driving, dude, so what do you get, what
What
are you
do you mean
doing?
before you get... Yeah,
You're my insurance guy.
I'm not suggesting you do that. I think you're jumping to a conclusion here. I'm saying that if you have a sign as you're coming off the highway that says, you know, whatever, 3.5 miles away, you're not gonna have a chance to read it.
So should we just get, no, not 3.5. Should we just get, so the question is, should we tell all these businesses that they can't put up all these signs that point to their place?
That's not what you're finding, in my opinion. Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, that's what I'm looking
Confused as
for,
to the
like
definition.
pointers, the pointers.
What'd you say?
I go that way.
Fine.
Second to
Is
the
that not-
side.
Yeah, so
Welcome
it's-
to Bolton.
Yeah,
Two
it's-
cents
what-
plus with
yeah,
the
what-
other
Yeah,
what's the
side.
sorry.
second one?
it's supposed to go when you come off of North.
I know, but where is it? Is it?
Well, we had an issue with,
I know we had
with
some.
MassDOT.
No, I mean
Who?
like driving way.
The guy who wants.
Because
I'll
who owns that
clarify
piece of
in
property?
minutes.
It's,
How's that?
it's state-owned,
Oh.
and they didn't want us to put it there, right?
All right, so we, so we.
No, we can put the sign up, we just can't have any businesses on it.
Right, because they want to advertise.
So we
on
might as well
the
put the sign up and take everything else down,
Yeah,
because it shouldn't be there anyway.
right.
And that fixes that
Somewhere
problem.
else.
Yeah.
Well,
You
we
know?
can put the Welcome to Bolton sign there. It's actually a mini version of what we have. It's like,
Right.
We should put it up, by the way, and we should have everything else taken down, because it shouldn't be there, and
Yeah.
just clean up the intersection,
Yeah, clean up
beautify
that
it.
Yeah.
intersection.
I mean, really, it
Are
should
you
have.
talking the 495 intersection?
I think it's the one you're talking about. when you're
Heading,
coming-
heading north and you look around, it just, it looks really bad.
Yeah.
But they're not finished the construction over there either. I think we should wait to probably put it in.
Good point.
But I think that's definitely a plan to clean all that up because there's a lot,
so
it's busy.
I'll send out an email with what I think is the items that we talked about, we'll potentially do, and maybe a list of businesses we want to highlight, and just, you know, where people think they have cycles and they can sign up for things. And on policy issues, you know, if you think there's something that we can push in the town, or pretty much just champion an issue, because we're not the planning board or whatever, but if we want to champion an issue and say that, you know, we think that you should look at this, then that's something we should do. I know everybody's time is limited, so wherever you think that you can best fit, then that's great. Oh, and are you still interested in joining?
Yes.
Bob, this, you know, it says it goes, 7 to 8.
It's a lie. It's a lie. For Eric, you know what I'm gonna bring one of those little sand things, just put it over. Time's up. Time's up.
I don't want to interrupt people. I try to
The
push it
start
off.
time is Eastern Standard Time, the end time is Eastern Mountain or Western, we're not sure.
As it is, I feel like I'm being rude to some people, but I'm like, okay, we gotta move on, you know, and I keep talking too, so I try to move it along as much as possible.
I think I'll bring one of those
Nine's
sand
an
things
empty.
next time we, I'm
If we
seriously
get done by
gonna bring one
9,
in.
that's a miracle.
Yeah.
And, you know,
That's good.
I guarantee we'll shorten our meetings by a third.
I like it.
So, I need, I guess, I need a motion to,
Motion adjourned.
no. No, I didn't call a vote. Need a motion to, approve Robert, how do you say your name?
Gallagher.
Approve Robert Gallagher as a member of the EC.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second, whatever.
Third,
Somebody-
fourth.
All in favor?
All in favor?
All right, so I'll say Mark,
Gotcha.
and then Glenn.
Do we need to approve
I
this
have to put
now?
that in the
Huh?
minutes?
Do we need to approve this?
No, we don't need to approve it.
Okay.
The one thing that should be in there.
Congratulations.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the
And
one.
Amy, you're gonna send over the list of new businesses too, that may.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you wanna do some writing.
Yeah,
that'd
love
be
it.
great.
So you said you're gonna do Hair by Terry.
Yeah, I know. She's had weird hours this summer,
Yeah.
and I never caught up with her. And I hear
Yeah.
she talks a lot, so I
Yeah.
had to kind of strategically plan when I was gonna go.
Oh, yeah.
And
So,
she's there
so
when she
actually, I
has
need a
a
motion.
I have to pick up my kids.
Need a
My
motion
Motion to
kids-
adjourn.
My kids were
Motion to
home, so I
adjourn.
couldn't.
Motion to adjourn.
Second, all in favor?
That's funny.